This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to what can only be described as a beautiful start to our day. There's some beautiful pre-dawn colours that are there with the dead tree and Twin Dams Road and, well, some guinea fowls that are running down the road that are just black spots, unfortunately, because it is so dark. Now, it is a very warm welcome to all of you that are joining us this morning. My name is Tristan. On camera, I've got the birthday boy himself, Sebastian. So it is Seb's birthday today, so everybody wish him a happy birthday. Hopefully we'll find lots of amazing things for him, and we'll be able to give him what he wants. Apparently, what do you want again? Leopard hunt.
Yes.
Leopard hunt is what?
On a warthog.
On a warthog.
On Hukumuri killing a
Hukumuri killing a warthog. Okay, that's what apparently we're going to be looking for, except we're going in the wrong direction. So for that, we would have had to change places with Jamie. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And if you do want to wish Seb a happy birthday, or you want to ask any questions or have any comments, you can do so on #SafariLive on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat. We'll keep Seb busy with lots and lots of comments during the course of the morning, I hope. Now, we'll have to come up with some sort of plan for our morning to celebrate his birthday. I can't sing, so we're not going to be doing singing. The Egyptian geese are shouting about it, and hopefully we'll find this male lion that was also roaring for Seb's birthday. It's always a nice present, as well, Seb, roaring male lion. That's always quite pleasant too.
Yeah.
So that's the plan for the morning. That's what we're going to be able to do, and we hopefully will be successful. Now, the plan for that male lion is that, he went in a sort of easterly direction, so we're going to try catch up with him. But before we do that, last night we were under siege, and some of you might be thinking, well, how could you be under siege? You're in the middle of the African wilderness. And so this is what took place last night. We were under siege by Daryl and friends, and so Daryl and friends came along, and that is what the fence outside of FC now looks like. Daryl decided that he wanted to eat the new trees that were inside there. Well, we think it was Daryl, but there's tracks for a couple different males that were in and out. And so it is that time of the year. Marula season always brings about this. And so our fence has been pushed down. Now, Kirsty, you'll know exactly where this is, and you can see that they've just decided, well, we're not going to go around, we're just going to go through. There's a marula in the background that took a bit of a hammering too. And there are lots and lots of poo landmines all over the place this morning that one needs to be careful of. So it was carnage and destruction when we arrived at work this morning, which was, I thought it was quite funny. I had a bit of a laugh about it. It's obviously not that funny because him destroying any property is not good. And of course, also, it's dangerous for us at night to be moving around. But a part of me had to chuckle because there's all these electric fences, and well, he just doesn't care. He just went straight through them, or whichever elephant it was, just didn't really care at all. So hopefully we'll be able to figure something out to stop poor Daryl getting in and causing mayhem and havoc. And so the precious plants that have been planted can stay safe. I also laughed with those because there was a little mesh kind of fencing put around these little trees that had been planted, and those mesh fences, well, you can imagine what they look like. If the kind of wooden fence looks that way, they also did not last very well at all. But anyway, we're going to carry on. We're going to go and see if we can find this male. He walked on the dam wall. I just need to check if he went to Mvubu or Central, and once we establish that, we'll be able to track him down. And in the meantime, though, back to Jamie, or not back to Jamie, to Jamie for the first time this morning, so she can say good morning.
Oh, what a morning, what a morning. Good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. It's very creepy out here this morning. My name is Jamie. This morning, Craig is on camera with me. And of course, as you know, it's Sebastian's birthday. He wants to see Hukumuri killing a warthog. But unfortunately, I'm going west. So our plan for today, because we have a rehearsal, of course, tonight, is Tristan's going east, I'm going west. And we're going to sort of loop around Djuma to see what's out and about. If I see Hukumuri and if he is killing a warthog, I will immediately call Tristan and Sebastian in so that they can come and film it with us. How's that for a deal? That's making a deal. I know we're not really meant to have two vehicles in a sighting like that, but why not? We'll do it for Seb's birthday. As you've heard, Daryl paid us a visit last night. That elephant. Oh, this is gorgeous. Hold on a moment. I'll show you why I said it looks creepy, but now it doesn't look creepy, it just looks beautiful. Oh my goodness. It is gorgeous. Hang on, I wasn't meant to be going this way, but I'm just finding us a nice view with the sunrise and the mist. Ooh, how is this? I wondered why this morning when I woke up and went outside at about 10 to 4, I could hear the lion, but he sounded really far away. Well, not really far away, but he didn't sound like he was at the dam. I think we have our answer. It's because the mist has dampened everything. I don't really want to go this way, so I'm going to stop. Oh, it's just tough. I'm going to stop here. There we go. Would you like a moment of silence to just take in the surrounds? I'm sure you would. Pretty as a picture. Mostly the sounds that you can hear is a Cape turtle dove, there's a Sterling's wren warbler, the odd francolin, a red-crested korhaan, and the car fan, of course, as well, to keep our equipment cool. That, I feel, is an ever-present sound when we're out on drive. There's a spider web. Can't tell if it was on us or if it's just little spiders dispersing to the wind. Of course, when they're tiny, a lot of different species of spider reel out a whole load of silk, and then they throw the ball up into the air, and they hang on to... Yes, if I hadn't explained that, it would have been very odd. I would have looked as though I was sweeping at ghosts. And they throw the ball up into the air, and then they blow in the wind, and their silk blows them along, and they just clutch onto the tip of it, and that's the way in which they disperse. Yeah, I said I wasn't going that way. I'm not going that way because Tristan's going that way. He's going to look for that lion. Oh. We are going to go look for the Nkuhumas, is our plan. They were on Arathusa yesterday, so I've taken a bit of a gamble, and rather than going to where they were last night, I'm going to where I think they might go if they come north, essentially. So I'm starting north and working back south to where they were. I have a feeling that they didn't just sort of walk onto Djuma and stay where they were meant to be last night. So that is the plan. We'll also look for Hukumuri, we will look for Shadulu, then we will go and look for Hosanna himself. I've mentioned that it is a misty morning. It, of course, lends a slightly sinister air to the bush while it's still dark like this. There's all sorts of things to be afraid of, including gorillas in the mist.
Gorillas indeed. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bushwalk segment of today's Game Drive Safari. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Jean-Andre. For the first time on Bushwalk, we are very excited to be out in the African wilderness, and what a beautiful morning it is. Look at this place. There's this misty overcast, well, it's not overcast, but this sort of misty dew is settled in. It is absolutely gorgeous. We're going to see if we can assist Tristan with the tracking of that male lion. If Jamie calls in some tracks of the Nkuhumas, if they have indeed come in from the west, we will definitely go see if we can find them. And then, of course, whatever else comes along the way, we shall do. But please feel free, as always, send through your questions, hashtag SafariLive, or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream and let us know what you'd like to talk about and see this morning. For now, it's just deep breaths. Nice to be out, Andre. I'm sure Tristan has told you about our fence already. Our fence has already been smashed and elephants have been inside of the camp. Dangerous, someone. What does the mist do? The mist just makes it beautiful. What the mist does do is it makes the grass rather wet. Dangerous, cute. Makes the grass rather wet. All the dew, you see all the dew on there? So it makes our socks quite nice and damp. But it means that the animals get a little bit of moisture on the vegetation. They don't have to walk very far. But it can influence visibility. You can't really see as far in the mist as you normally can. But I mean, on quarantine here, it's quite nice and open. We can normally see quite far. But in the thickets, you can't see far anyway. But what the mist really does, it just cools things down. It makes it very eerie. And as Jamie said, gorillas in the mist. We're kind of feeling like some gorillas right now. It's that sort of change in temperature from yesterday. It wasn't very hot yesterday compared to the last few weeks that we've had, and so you're getting this sort of change in daytime and morning temperatures, which then leads to the condensation and the dew, which leads to this mist, which will burn off quite quickly. But there seems to be a big system building up in the west over there, and that is where a lot of our rain comes from. It doesn't feel like there's a single bit of breeze or air movement at all. It's very soft, it's very still, but who knows what will transpire as the morning develops. But anyway, as I said, we're going to continue on, head down this way, see what tracks we can find, jump on board. I hope you've got your hats and your sun cream, because it's going to be a hot one, and we are just excited to be out on foot looking at all the small and little things. I can't believe this is our first walk with you, Jean-Andre. Can you believe that? He's always busy doing something else, I think. Nice to be out. But we're probably going to see if any of those elephants are around. We had about 3 or 4 elephant bulls hanging around quarantine last night. And as I said, one of them came into camp. Obviously, everyone's going to blame poor Daryl. He just doesn't get a break, the poor fellow. One of the small trees that was planted by the landowner there and put a cage around to prevent the nyala eating it has been absolutely smashed. All you can see is just a little stick like this sticking out of the ground, and a beautiful tree that was a beautiful tree is now gone. But that is the way it works, unfortunately. Elephants like to feed on things that are being watered and cared for. It's kind of like what happens out there. But anyway, as we continue on through the open area of quarantine, see if we can find some tracks. Let's jump down the road to Tristan and see if he's found any tracks of that male lion.
Well, good luck, Steve. Hopefully you'll find tracks and be able to help us out, because this lion has grown lion wings and has flown away, because there's not a single track on Mvubu, not a single track on Central, nothing on Gari Cut Line. So I have no idea where it went, really. The last track is on the dam wall and then it just goes poof and disappears. And so what I think has happened is it's taken, and there's a little path that comes into the Mulwati, and it's maybe taken that and run southwards to, well, not run, but it's walked southwards towards potentially Twin Dams Road. So what I'm doing now is I'm just checking. There's a pan here that they sometimes can go to, but it's very seldom that you see lions walking around in here. This is more a kind of little leopard pan where, you know, different leopards will hang out, but maybe this lion has decided just to he would go silly track. It's just straight across the road, but I certainly find any signs. Maybe if there, where we're heading, yeah, of which way we're heading, because it might have just gone straight over the road. I believe one of you were saying that it went central, but not sure. Anyway, we're going to check. We're going to try to see what we can find in the meantime. Back across to Jamie.
Alright, so before Tristan disappears off your screens entirely, we apologise for the gremlins this morning. Combination of the fact that it is much greener and much thicker around here, that and the mist, I think, is playing a little bit of a havoc with our signal this morning. There's certain areas we know that are fine, and they're completely fine in winter, and then of course in summer there's certain areas where we can't go, or we can't go while we're live, or if we do and we find something, we have to be still. So there's a lot of things that we're juggling in our minds while we're looking for animals at the same time. Well, we seem to be okay from where we are. So we'll carry on along down Sandy Patch. No sign of any lion tracks yet. Oh, that's not true. That is a complete And utter lie. I did find lion tracks. They belonged to the male that Tristan is searching for, but they're coming in to Djuma, so that's the way that he made his way in. Oh, there's nice big ellie tracks in the road. I think I'd like to see an elephant bull. I love this time of year. We've spoken about it before, the fact that at this time of year the male elephants are moving about quarantine around that area. They're on Djuma all the time, and we get to spend some time with giants. Just listening to updates on the radio. Good morning to Chloe. Now, Chloe would like to know how Daryl got his name. Well, we have Taylor McCurdy to thank for that, and that is because Daryl actually was not just known to us. He is such a unique-looking elephant and has got such a, let's put it this way, such a personality that he gained a little bit of notoriety throughout the area. So he was named by Sabi Sabi at one point, and I think that's where the name came from. I don't know if Taylor herself was responsible for it or if she brought it with her to Wild Earth. Can anyone else remember what we called him before we knew that he was Daryl? Because he did have a name, and I've been racking my brains. Sorry, what was that curse? Something Daryl? Because we definitely gave him a name, and then we changed it to Daryl when we discovered that there was another name for him. Oh, right. Okay, it was a guest named Daryl. Had an elephant named after him. Or perhaps a guest just named him Daryl. I'm not 100% sure how that story went. I'm sure we gave him a name ages ago when I first started and Daryl made an appearance, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe it wasn't very polite. That's also a possibility. Steph wants to know if we called him Mr. Hole in it. That could well be it. I now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've dug myself into a hole, because I think we did give him a name, but it was for private purposes in our conversations with each other. And I don't necessarily think that we shared that name on Drive. Largely to do with the fact that he spent his life trying to terrorize everyone. Even my brother knows Daryl. When my brother came to stay with me for about 3 weeks a couple of years ago, and he stayed at Inga's with us, and he was outside one day. My brother's not known for his early mornings. You know, some people are morning people, some people are not. He's not. And he said he woke up, was having his cup of tea, and he looked up and there was a tractor chasing Daryl, and then there was Daryl chasing the tractor, and they went up and down the road like that a few times. So even my brother is familiar with Daryl. I like Daryl. He's got personality. Okay. It doesn't look like these Nkuhumas came this way. That's okay. We still haven't checked Zoe's or any of those places. Hello, boys. Full of the joys of the morning. Oh. The one nice thing about an impala herd like this is they actually do us a massive service, well, sort of. When they trot all over the road, they make it very easy to age tracks, if of course you can spot them underneath the tracks of the impala. So there we go. That's what a road looks like when a herd of impala has spent the night there. I know you can only really see car tracks from this angle, but it's all dotted with impala tracks. It looks like it's been raining massive raindrops. And that helps to age tracks. Of course, especially when you can actually see the impala themselves. So there's a breeding herd over there, and then there's some bachelors off to the left of them who were looking as though they might decide to have a little bit of a morning play. They appear to, however, have changed their mind. All the beautiful 4-year-old males looking in peak condition. Oh, there's some a little bit younger. There's some that are around 3. Biding their time. They're being chased around by some of the dominant males. So there's some big impala rams that have taken the breeding herds for themselves. But they've done what's known as peaking slightly too early, because the breeding season is only in another 6 months or so. So it's actually these guys on the periphery that will actually have the best chances when we get to May, June, July. What you listening to, boys? That is far too still. I went there for a second. I can't hear anything. What are you seeing? What is he seeing? Or is he just being a boy and making noise? Typically for a predator, if it was something like a leopard or a lion, all of them would start alarm calling and probably running in that direction. Just hold on, let's go turn around, let's just check. Just in case they're responding in a way that we don't expect them to, which obviously happens. Let's just double check where he's looking. He was looking in here. I don't know why the rest of them didn't respond. It is unusual for impala to give us a false alarm, but it does happen. Mostly it's the squirrels that keep us confused and keep us guessing, because they alarm call at everything from a slender mongoose to a snake to a bird of prey to a leopard. Lee says, of course, now Thandi runs out of the bush and makes a kill, and that is their wishful thinking for the morning. It's happened before, so you know it's not that wishful thinking. Admittedly, it would be more likely to be Shidulu, where we are at the moment. And of course, as you know, because we're right on the western boundary of Djuma, Shidulu actually has little babies. And since Hukumuri is the most likely candidate for the father, that makes them Hukudulus or Shimuris. I like Hukudulus personally. Little Hukudulus. I haven't seen the little Hukudulus yet. I've only seen pictures of them. But I would be very happy if Shidulu decided to bring the Hukudulus onto Djuma. That sentence would have made absolutely no sense for any new viewers. If you are out there, please feel free to send your questions through on #SafariLive on Twitter or comments on YouTube. If you would like clarification for in-jokes like that, you are welcome to ask. I promise we'll explain them. Essentially, the two dominant, there's dominant male in this area. His name is Hukumuri, chicken medicine, named after a plant that's used to treat chickens. And then there's Shidulu, the termite mound, who is a leopard. No, there's nothing here. No, there's lion tracks. Hold on. No, but this is this boy. No, it's not. It's a lioness. No, it's not. It's just an avoca with tiny feet. What is going on? Alright, I'm going to follow these a little bit just to see whether or not it's the tracks from that male that we saw earlier. While we do, let us bounce you over to the Bushwalk team to see what fascinating facts Steve has to share with all of you.
Alarm calls are normally very reliable indicators of something with hair, teeth and claws. I'm sure you will find something there in a moment. We just stopped to enjoy the view, enjoy the grass, and what a beautiful morning it is. The dew off of the grass. You can see this beautiful signal grass sitting here. It had nice little bits of pollen and all that. And so the reason why this time of year most people get a little bit sort of hay. because all of the pollen from grass, a lot of other trees also have lots of pollen. All your fir trees, your conifers, your pine trees are all sort of very pollen-rich trees, and grasses as well. And all of these little things sticking down are in fact the female and male parts of the plant, and they rely, most grasses do, on wind pollination, whereby the pollen from one is transferred to the other before then the grass produces lovely seed, which will then fall down onto the ground at some point, then completing the cycle. So this particular grass is known as a subclimax grass, and what that means is that it's not the initial grass to move in. It's not one of the pioneers who start off the process. It's one of those that take over from the pioneers and then establish the area, covering it quite nicely, providing food for herbivores. The herbivores will then come in and feed on the grass itself, the urine, the dung as they go. And that grass covers the soil, protects it from pioneers themselves. I don't know if you want to get this one, Jandro. There's lots of them around. Carrot seed. Carrot seed grass. This is the reason why we all wear those very special things on our socks, because you get carrot seed grass in your socks, and that stuff doesn't come out. Carol, you say it looks like wheat. It does indeed. It's much smaller than wheat, but it's got a very similar sort of shape to it, indeed. And wheat, as you know, is, well, as you might not know, but wheat is a grass, and there are grass, huge amounts of food. I mean, wheat is the most maize are the two most abundant grasses in the world, and they produce everything, or almost everything, that we eat. Anyway, we're going to continue on, going up onto the top of quarantine here. We do apologize for any breakup we might be having, but let's go back to Jamie, see if she's had any luck with her tracks and alarm calls.
Look! Just 2 seconds after we linked away from you, I sincerely apologize to that impala. He had better eyes than most. Wouldn't you know it? Look at that! That's amazing. Look at the affection there towards the mangy male. That is awesome. That is so cool. Aww. That is the very first time I've seen that happen. Oh, that warms my heart. Hey, boy. The young male looking at me as if to say, yeah, so? What's you on about? That is so lovely. And the first time we're actually seeing affection between the rest of the pride and the male with mange. It's really cool. Unless... No, can't be. And is that the other mangy male? Has he just healed that much? No, that can't be right. But his head looks thin. Might actually be. Definitely has a little bit of a mane. The mangy male... One of them's been missing for ages. Could I have missed? No, it's not. There's no way, surely. Are we up again, guys? What's up? I was a bit worried. I was going to tell you that they're about to cross out, but it looks as though they are actually now looking back east. Yes, look east. Look east. Don't you be going anywhere. Not allowed to come onto Juma and then desert us so quickly. Orbs, orbs. These lines are now looking back east again. They're still static in the block, but they're closer to Voya's access. It is the Nkuhuma male. I thought that was the case. Thank you to Michael, who's confirming that it is the Nkuhuma male. I'm going to get a bit closer. I I'm really, really surprised. That's the first time. We've seen a lot of affection from the Nkuhuma male towards the Talamati male, but I've never seen it towards the Mangeni male. And that makes me really happy. No, no, no. That way. That way. No, no. That way. We're very close to the boundary, unfortunately. Otherwise, we have 2 lionesses here off to the left of us. And the rest of the pride is absent. There's something funny here. They're nervous. They keep looking across to the east. They're separate from the rest of the pride. I don't know where the rest of the pride is. I'm hoping they're not to the west of us. There's something in the determination of these lions that suggests that that might be the case. Hey, our gamble played off, going north instead of trying to start where they were last night, guessing where they were going to walk. It worked out for us. Yes, good kitty cats. Go lie down with the boys. They're nervous. They're really nervous. Something to the east of them that scared them. Or it's the rest of the pride that's gone hunting and we missed that. And they've been separated. They're not calling. There's an impala frantically letting everyone know that there's lions here. I guess I owe that one male an apology. They're hungry. I'm trying to direct Aubrey into the sighting, but to try and tell him exactly where these lions are going to go and what his best approach is proving tricky. Ah, here he comes. That's him going round Triple M. I still think his best approach is this way. I'm talking aloud to myself to try to figure out which way I'm going to direct him. Oh, no. He's going to be very upset with me. Orbs, is that you on Triple M? Well, they're mobile west again. Through this block. They're going to pop out on Triple M. Now, apparently, lots of you wondering about mange and whether or not the Nkuhumas are going to catch it. If they were going to catch it, they would have caught it already, and they have shown some symptoms of having mange. And what I would say is that their previous mange infection that they got around about 2006, end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and the fact that they survived and they healed means that they have a certain degree of resistance to it. That's why they... What is behind them? We're going to have to go... If these lions cross, we're going to have to go back east and check and see what scared them. That one male, that Mangeni male, oh, this makes me so happy. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he's been pushed away at every turn, and the fact that he's getting affection is just so special. And listen, if they were gonna get mange badly, they would have it by now. They really would. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. I don't know why, but it makes me feel like I've got a warm bubble in my chest. I think it's because he's been through so much. Oh, he nearly died. I don't know where his brothers are. I think his companions have died. We don't really know what happened to the other mangy Mangeni males. I certainly think one has died. Afa, I'm just on that other side, on the northern side of that drainage. If you keep coming, I'll let you know and I've got your audio. Oh, that makes me so happy. Lions are such social creatures. It must have been torture for him to be rejected constantly, to not have company, to have to cling to the company of others. I've got your audio orbs. Can you see my tracks there? Okay, copy. I'm just going to switch on for you. Just hold on, Kirst. Sorry. Patrick, you want to know if those are battle scars on the Mangeni male? They are. Oh, sorry, Craig. My foot slipped off the clutch. Sorry. They are indeed. There's actually some fresh injuries on the male's back there. Here's Orbs. Come on, Orbs. Come on, come on, come on. He's going across before he gets them. Where are we off to, guys? He does have a couple of fresh wounds there. I don't know if it's from the mange itself, or if he's actually been in a little bit of a scrap. Oh, there's a lion here. Oh, great excitement. You're welcome. Hey, youngster. Are you going to go catch up with him? I'm not going to block her way. I'm going to let her get up and decide when she's going to move. Something nervous about these guys, and it's all young, all of the youngsters. Are you going to move to catch them? Oh, that's made my day. It also means that the Nkuhuma male is now really in good company, in the sense that that Mangeni male is going to recover from the mange. And at one stage we were quite, it was quite sad to think of the Nkuhuma male going off on his own. Junior managed it, of course. Junior was the previous Nkuhuma male, and he managed it quite happily. He managed to survive on his own. He found a friend, and he established himself in a territory. But it was quite sad to think of our young male going off on his own without any coalition buddies. Now he's got a Mangeni male, he's got the Talamati males. Are you just gonna sit here? The others are long gone now. James Richard, you want to know the last reports of buffalo and where that might be? The last I heard was 2 days ago. What did I do yesterday morning? Yesterday morning I was meant to do the behind the scenes shoot, and it was cloudy. Yes, so it was the morning before that, when I was in the tent, that Steve actually followed the buffalo tracks out of Djuma and down south. Since then, I haven't picked up on anything. I think there's a few males still knocking about Djuma. I think there's a good chance there is a few males knocking about Djuma. But I haven't heard of any big herds moving through. They went down 2 days ago or 2 nights ago. They went down to Boyatela Dam, and then they crossed south out at Shubam Road. So that was the last time I know of a big herd of buffalo in this vicinity. It was interesting. This one has completely been left behind. Oh, there we go. Oh, you silly girl. It's the youngster Y2, isn't it? The one with the injury on her back leg. I'm just nicknaming her. Well, I've adopted the nickname that a lot of the viewers give to her. What is there? That must be where the rest of the pride are, but why aren't they going there? No, it can't be. I think I know. All right, let's catch up with her. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a short-lived time spent with the Nkuhumas. They are now getting very close to the boundary. We're going to have to go this way. It's a bit thick in here. I've done the same thing Aubrey did. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can see the lion walking there. She's running. Ah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't think we're going to make it to the boundary in time to see them cross. Yes, we are. There it is. We're going to make it. Hold on. We're going to squeeze through here. We are going to squeeze through here. Oh dear. No, it's an okay decision. And goodbye, lions. Oh, hold on. No worries, Orbs. Sorry, they couldn't decide which way they were going. Okay. And there go our lions on to Simbambili. Last quick view, then we're going to send you across to the Bushwalk team, who have apparently prepared a song for Sebastian's birthday.
Well done, Jamie. The alarm calls were obviously true. They never lie. You just have to find the animal that they're shouting at. And well, we found an animal. It happens to be his birthday this morning. Sebastian, good morning and happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll all be probably maybe having a little glass of apple juice or something with him this evening. We'll think about that. Maybe not. Maybe. I'm pretty sure we will. Happy birthday, sir. Have a good day. We've come to give them a hand with these lion tracks. The lion tracks have come up the little road here from the pan, the dam, and they have just disappeared. They've just vanished. But don't worry, we've got Rex in with us. He's an expert tracker. And while we're going to carry on with Rex, we're going to let these guys go, see if they can find the male lion, and well, we're going to see if we can help as well, because it's always good when you walk or work in teams. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Lots of happy birthdays coming through on Instagram or on Twitter for you there, Mr. Sebastian. Happiness wrinkles. Yeah. Another young gentleman like myself, Sebastian. There we go. I wonder if any of you remember Sebastian used to be a presenter on the show. We should probably dig up the archives once again when Brent sent through that photograph of Seb when he used to be a guide on this program. Long time ago, I remember. I think he was working in 2010, 11, back in the day when it was a very, very different ship altogether. So if anyone has got that photo, Kirsty, I think you've got that photo. You're going to share that once again and say bon anniversaire to Sebastian, because while we do know he is French, he is from Africa though, French. Anyway, we are with Rexon. He's just up ahead of us over here. The male lion tracks, as I suggested, came up the drainage here and have just vanished. Now I see Rexon is behind me. He's trying to make head or tail of where this lion has gone. Okay, so the tracks are definitely heading this way. So we're going to see if we can follow up. Are you ready, folks? Let's jump on board. Tristan was looking a little bit confused there, which means this lion is really trying to play hard to get. So maybe he's gone this way. The Vuetela Dam is just on the left here. This is Mvubu Road that goes straight to sort of our northeastern section on to Buffelshoek. And as we know, many, many times, the lions come in, have a drink, and then before you even know it, they're gone again. So it's important to go and check the boundary line and see if maybe we can find where they've come in. But that might be the reason why the evokers are, not the evokers, why the Nkuhumas are looking a little bit nervous, as Jamie said. The young males would not want to bump into the evoker males. And Jamie was calling in a lion roar just before we got started this morning. So no doubt down wherever they are. On the other side of the property, they would have heard that call. And well, we're going to see if maybe we can hear them calling again. Maybe just the track. But on this hard ground here next to the pan, it's very, very difficult indeed to see any footprints. But as I said, we have got Rexon with us, and he is an expert tracker. Well, continue on we go. Carrot seed all through my feet. Very wet shoes, but that's okay. We have the sun later to dry it up for us. But anyway, Tristan is up ahead. Let's go and see if he's had any luck with tracks that side.
Oh, nothing worse than carrot seed, Steve. I don't know how many pairs of socks actually I've just chucked in the bin because of carrot seed. There's kind of way of sitting there and just picking each little seed off that takes hours and hours and hours, just is too frustrating to me. And so I just ditch them. And you should theoretically have the gaiters on, and that stops the carrot seed problem. But Jamie and myself, I don't know what's with Steve, but definitely Jamie and myself have misplaced our gaiters, and which means we're going to have carrot seeded socks over the next little bit until such time as there's a town trip that we can replace them. Anyway, we're going to try and see if we can find this male line. As Steve was saying, the tracks just vanish. I mean, I've walked up and down there, Rex is up and down, and it literally goes up that hill a little bit, and then just from there you cannot find another track anywhere. I mean, I checked all the little game paths that I would normally check and where things normally walk, and I can't find a single thing. So the only thing I can think of is that that lion went straight over the road and into the block and just walked on a section where we just missed a track on the hard ground. Otherwise it makes no sense to me. Because Central is a very soft road, and Mvubu, that first section, is also soft. So if you walked on the roads there, there's no ways that you'd miss them. He definitely didn't take Twin Dams, he didn't do Spaghetti Junction, Vulture's Nest, Central, that side. So where this line went is anyone's guess at the moment. It must have gone somewhere there. Either that or it's literally lying quite close to where we're walking around, just completely flat. But the amount of noise that was made with Steve and Rexon and jokes that were had about birthdays and various other things, I doubt that lion would have stayed sleeping if it was close to where we are, because it should have woken up with all the voices of people and that number of people that we're kind of standing there. But anyway, we'll see. I mean, he must be around somewhere. And I'm just listening to Rexon, because Rexon might have an update for me, which is always a good thing. Gator, which animal has the best hearing? Just hold on, I'll get into your question now. Yeah, go ahead, Rex. Okay, copy. So it's nothing to do with our line, which is fine. Which animal has the best hearing? Of the big animals, I would say Ellies, probably. They, the size of their ear and the ability to process that would probably be them. They hear things and are sensory to sound waves in terms of vibrations from quite far away, much further than most of the other animals. Bats obviously got incredible hearing. It's an interesting question though, actually. I'm not 100% sure which animal would be the one that has the best hearing of them all. I would be quite curious to find out, actually. I think it would be an interesting kind of thing to think about and talk about, that's for sure, of all the animals out here. But I would imagine it's something very obscure that we haven't really thought of. But bats would be probably one with incredibly sensitive hearing. And like I say, Ellies have sensitive hearing of the big animals. Cats, owls. Canibe owls, I don't think as sensitive as bats would be. They would probably, owls have very good eyesight. They, I suppose, can hear very well as well, but I don't know. I mean, it would be tricky. I would be interested to know kind of who it is, actually. I mean, obviously, this is just opinions and just thoughts and ramblings as we kind of go along. But I honestly don't know the answer to exactly which animal has the best hearing within this system where we are right now. So, I mean, I don't even know if you would find that information out Anyway, I doubt anyone's done a study on that within the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, but it's not to say that it doesn't happen and that potentially that somebody has. There's a rich history in this area, so maybe somebody in the Kruger Park system has actually been able to kind of figure out who is got the best hearing of the Kruger Park area, or the greater Kruger, should I say. Interesting thought. Definitely not me or Sebastian. Hey Seb, we're getting old and deaf. Well, you did hear the lions this morning. Well done, Sebastian. I also heard them, yes, they were quite loud. I'm interested to see where this lion must have gone to. Lauren, regularly, in the case of certain animals, so things like leopards, often the tracks go cold and we don't find the animal. It's a pretty common occurrence. Tracks for buffalo, but he's old. So it happens a lot with leopards. With lions, very seldom. Tracking lions is normally a much easier thing than leopards, and the simple reason for that is lions often are a lot more kind of, what's the word for it? They're a lot more brazen about where they walk. So especially a male lion, a dominant male lion, generally just uses roads. He's not really interested in getting his paws all wet and his mane full of carrot seed and those kind of things. And so he typically will use roads to walk around, and it makes it quite easy. You just generally follow the tracks and you can follow them and you find them fairly close by. So lions, it's not that often that they outthought us. I suppose if it's just one like this, it can happen. But leopards all the time. It's a common occurrence to have leopard tracks and lose them and not find them. It does happen. Now, hang on a second. Okay, there's tracks for a lion here, but these are not good tracks. These are looking like they're from yesterday. There's millipedes over it, car tires over it. And so those are not tracks that we are looking for. We are looking for much fresher tracks than that, given that we know the time frame when that animal was actually seen. But it doesn't look like it's come north either, so no, must be in that block there, and we must have just missed the tracks. Oh, I just don't know how. Junction is quite nice to see tracks. Right, well, apparently my gremlins are coming through and signal is going away, and so let's send you back across to Jamie Patterson, who is driving much like I am.
All right, well, Tristan battles off the gremlins and attempts to track down his lion. Obviously, ours have crossed into Simbambili. So, I'm a bit perplexed. Just been chatting to William, who is Aubrey's tracker and sort of assistant on the vehicle. He says that he heard more lions calling towards or along Impala Road, which is where we are now, and Zoe's side. Because obviously we're a bit short on Nkuhuma's there. I mean, we're definitely a few familiar faces absent from the crowd. I'm just going down to check to see if I can figure out if they got separated somehow. Something scared them to the east. I have a few theories, but I think it was probably not animal related. So something scared the youngsters and they've run west. But they might have been separated before that, because if William heard contact calls around here, it's worth just having a quick look, and then we'll scoot back and see if we can find the rest of the pride. I'd already driven the eastern side where they were looking, so I'm not quite sure what it was that startled them. I'm just going to ignore you, Impala, for now. Sorry. A distinctly nervous look to them. Well, at least we did get to see some lions. And we have the joy of knowing that the Mangeni male is now well and truly accepted, at least by the other young males, which is all he could ever have hoped for, really. I'm chuffed. I'm still chuffed about that. Okay. Wow. It's a lot of Impala. I have been driving for a solid few minutes, and all I can see is Impala. I noticed a massive dent in the population on quarantine after the wild dogs came through. Now all of a sudden they've all moved here. Wow, it's a lot of impala. Then there's more coming. Now, Minamu wants to know how dominant male impala choose their harem. I don't know that they really choose their harem by any sort of selective process. There are no impala dating shows, you know, where the females say that they like long walks in the summer moonlight, and you know that they, I don't know what you say on dating shows. I don't watch dating shows. Obviously, my reference is going to go. I'm not going to manage it. So basically what the male impala will do is he'll gather together whatever females happen to be closest to him. So, no, I do not watch The Bachelor, Kirst, I'm afraid. In fact, I think that's something No, I do not watch The Bachelor. I nearly said something that would have offended someone else. So no, I do not watch The Bachelor, so my ideas as to what is said in a dating show are probably quite outdated and based purely on stereotypes and cliches. And there's a reason that stereotypes and cliches exist, though. Hop, hop, skip, jump. There we go. Look, they're showing off. Look at those gorgeous legs. No, the male will just gather together the first female he sees. Akin, one might say, to perhaps a late evening setting somewhere in the city, in some dive. Our beard, you say so that they don't swipe left or swipe right? I do not think so. I imagine that all impala look different to each other, but to my mind, there's no really unattractive female impala. I wonder, do they swipe? I don't know which way you have to swipe to accept. Do they swipe the way that you swipe to accept and then, or whatever it is? I don't know. Oh dear, I'm really out of my depth here. Yes, it's all about personality, says Kirst. That and those big eyes and long, slender legs. And then do they hit them with a really, really lame pickup line? Come on, everybody think of the impala pickup line, because I can't. Oh no, I thought of one, but I can't say it. I can't say it. It has to do with the bone protrusions on the top of the impala's head. So we'll leave that for now. Craig, is that what you thought too? Yeah, exactly. Oh dear. I can't use that one. Well, there must be some other really lame pickup lines for impala. Why can't I think of one? Probably because I don't do this very often. Although that's what they all say. I mean, I really don't try to pick up impala ladies often. No, Kirst, no. Kirst is frantically Googling pickup lines. If you were a steak, you would be well done. No, that's horrible. I don't like it. What about rare? See, I think I'd be slightly insulted if somebody told me I was well done. What does that mean? That I'll put together now? Another one, courtesy of Kirsten, which of course allows us to bring in the incredibly lame reference to impala being the McDonald's of the bush. I take no responsibility for this. Is your body McDonald's? Because I'm loving it. Hoof, no. Can't even make any deer references because of course they're antelope, not deer. So we can't even use that. Do your legs hurt from running through my dreams all night? To which the female impala replies by saying, no, my legs hurt because I was chased by the lions all night. This is entertaining. There's so many. Imagine if Hosanna had a profile. Come to think of it, that's exactly what I'm going to do for my... Oh, sorry, I forgot how to drive. For my next Instagram post, I got so enthused by my idea that my left leg is incredibly stiff from the exercise I did yesterday, and it just keeps acting completely contrary to the instructions given to it from my brain. Oh, Hosannas would be great. Young... X-Ranger managed it. You may not be a deer, but you are dear to me. Oh, that's lovely. Look, even the Cape turtle doves are loving it. There's been a coup to my heart. No, that didn't make sense. Look, it was a hurried one. I tried my best. It wasn't very good, I admit. Oh, he's distracted by food. He was actually on the female's back when I stopped. So obviously his pickup line worked. Oh, come on, there must... Why is my brain so slow? There must be a good one for at least... for turtle doves, surely. I can't think of any that are vaguely appropriate. Kirst is giving it a go. Kirst is usually on top of this sort of game, but this morning she's left her A game at home. She said something about fluttering, wings fluttering, heart fluttering, something like that. Cooey? Cooey! Cooey! No. No, I'm not on top of my game either. I wonder if I'm going to get into trouble for this conversation that I've initiated. It was an accident. I sort of fell into it. Well done, Joe. Hi, lovey-dovey, says Joe. I love it. What about, no. You see, the problem is I have to keep censoring myself, which is throwing me off my game. Ah, David says, I flocked to her. Brilliant. Love it. Feather fly. Did it hurt? Falling from the skies? No, that doesn't work. It's been so long since I've had a pickup line used on me that I don't even remember what people say anymore. I would be completely lost in this wide world. It's a lot simpler for doves. This is a romantic dinner, or romantic breakfast, brunch. It's a couple's brunch, eating white berries from the white berry bush. I missed something there. Say that again. Oh, I get it. Anna Marie, I'm sorry, that was so clever. It went over my head for a second. Anna Marie says you don't have to work hard to win my heart. She is, of course, referencing the call of the Cape turtle dove, which is work harder, work harder. One might say, if we're talking about some sort of dating scene, that drink lager might be a more relevant. You know what? I don't think it's just me. I think there's something wrong with this clutch. No, I think it's just me. No, it's just me. It's just incompetence. That would be my standard pickup line. Hello, I'm incompetent. It's a thoroughly entertaining game, but I'm really bad at it. Tristan, I imagine, would be quite good at it. Come on, there must be plenty. Lions. Surely we can think of one for a lion. And do not say rawr. I don't even know how you pronounce it. I've just seen it written. R-A-W-R. Don't say that. Not allowed to. That's not allowed. No. Ooh. Takes me back 15 years. Kirst, have you gone silent because you're desperately trying to think of a clever one? Is that what's happening here? I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. The lion's walked up this way. I am actually concentrating, I promise. Alright, apparently a lot of you are more on the ball than I am with this. Now, you see these are lion tracks, but are they the lion tracks of the lions we just saw? Probably. I suppose I better check. They're going that way, back the way we came. Got this nagging suspicion I'm missing something completely. Unless the rest of the pride had already crossed, which is also possible. There were lots of tracks there. I wish I'd actually got to Triple M before the lions did. Okay, I'm going to try and unravel the mystery of the lions, plus think up some animal-themed pickup lines. Let's go across to Steve, of course, the great romantic, who is wooing with white berries, or maybe just berries.
I don't know what's going on with these animal pickup lines, but when it comes to termites, their pickup lines are, look at the size of the grass stalk I just brought for you. Look at that, these harvester termites accumulating all of this dead and sort of breaking down organic material. You can see none of it is fresh. It's all quite old and dry, which is a very important element out here of nutrient recycling. The termites will spend a lot of time at night out feeding or collecting, and they'll basically just store it all around the hole here, and then lots of short movements to get it all inside. Quite incredible at how strong and powerful they are, and easily to identify harvester termites because they are quite dark. They've got melanin in their exoskeleton to allow them to at least sort of survive these sort of low light conditions, and also to be able to work in winter months where most of the other termites you will find are very, very white and pale and have absolutely no tolerance to the sun. But the harvester termite themselves, being not fungus growers, they actually have an enzyme inside their stomach called cellulase, which is designed for breaking down cellulose, which is something that not many organisms in the world are able to do. Torquay beetles or tenebrinoid beetles, harvester termites, fungus-growing termites, in fact, have cellulase as well, but for some reason they don't use it. They use the fungus to break it down. So it's quite an interesting evolutionary sort of adaptation where, like us with the maize and wheat around the world, the fungus has sort of duped the termite into growing it, because we have been domesticated by our crops. We talk about domesticating crops, but what does domestic come from? Domos, which means to live in a house. So wheat and barley and the like have caused Homo sapiens to form sort of homesteads and to stay in one place. Maize, the only plant in the world that requires enormous amounts of care, watering, fertilizing, removal of weeds, and obviously the termites do the nutrient recycling for themselves. So really cool to see little groups of harvester termites. Ivy, I don't think they sleep. Most insects basically rely on ambient temperatures or surrounding temperatures to keep them moving. So if it cools down, they'll just stop moving. But in a termite mound, generally the temperature is pretty much the same. So I don't think they sleep. They just go through periods of less activity when they're not active on the surface. But underground, who knows? They're probably having a huge party. I have no idea. Fermenting, all of that stuff down in the burrow must mean really good times. When we're not watching, who knows what goes down inside one of those burrows. Anyway, on we go. Tristan had tracks of that male lion up on sort of the eastern side from where we are now. We're just kind of cutting across here to see if maybe he's turned back. So far, nothing at all. It's nice to, use the radio. You can communicate, you can spread each other out, you know exactly where someone's going. And if tracks do happen to cut back again, we can give him some help. Hello, Becky. Animals that eat termites are looking specifically for the termites. So, for example, if I happened to get, well, I've got some fruits in my hand, but if I happen to grab this off of the branch, from that, the animals such termites, they get their diets as well, because they're nigging. They will get soil in, probably get a little bit of vegetation. It's just kind of a byproduct, I suppose. Just like some of us when we drink wine, organic wine, hand-picked wine is the way forward, because wine that gets collected by machines, guarantee if you go and do some tests on that, you'll find chameleon DNA. In South Africa anyway. Wow, there's a very fresh pile of poo. Now, we talk about nutrient recycling, and we talk about animals that feed on vegetation, and well, no animal is more obvious in their escapades than a white rhinoceros. And this is very fresh. It's inside of the midden. You can see the midden is here. Look at all of the flies that are growing on there, already followed to the moisture. I think this is probably a female that has gone and defecated inside, because it hasn't really been kicked properly open. Now, it's a bit confusing, because normally a male, excuse me, would defecate in here and then you'd kick it backwards to break it up properly. But you can clearly see that this bolus has not been broken. There's another one on the side here, which indicates there's probably another individual that's walked through. And basically what middens are for is that they are communication centers, whereby rhinos, we talk about rhinos in this case, where they'll drop their dung. The female will come close to a midden of a territorial bull. She'll defecate. He'll be able to smell that and be able to follow her if he can pick up any scent of her being an estrus. Now, if a big male came through and he was just trying to pass through to go and maybe have a drink, for example, he would do the same as this, because by going into a midden and kicking it open and doing all of that, you're basically advertising your willingness to compete and to fight. And the smell on the back of the feet after kicking it open, rhinos' nostrils are this size. I'll definitely be able to find them. So look at the activity on here, though, Chandra. This is incredible how many insects are around this dung. Wow, look at this fly. Loving the moisture. Already the dung beetles have been moving in. The endocoprids down on the side here, you can see where dung is being buried in the road. But a hive of activity. Facebook of the bush. With a keen enough sense of smell, you'll be able to smell this dung and know exactly who it came from, what status they're in, how healthy they are. Wow, look at all of them. That's a lot of insects. That's why we like to wear protective eyewear when driving at night, because they're all attracted to the light and the moisture around our eyes. I just heard a Birchall's cuckoo calling there, the rainbird. Maybe indeed we're going to have a little bit of a thunderstorm this afternoon. The rainbird's got this something like that. I'm not very accurate in that. But there is definitely a front building up to the south, northwest, west, that way, where we saw it this morning. Anyway, we're going to continue on here, see if we can find some tracks or anything of any interest. For now, I'm just going to grab myself a little osama. Just going to put some insect repellent on my leg. So everyone wants to know about the chameleon DNA. There have been studies done, proven in certain vineyards in South Africa. I'm not going to name any names. If you have got a vineyard, it's a row, it's a stretch like this, and you've got a machine that comes through and shakes the trees to pick the grapes up, you're going to get insects, you're going to get chameleons in there. But if you walk through the vineyard with a bag and you collect by hand, the chances of catching chameleons in your food or in your wine, 0. But if you have a machine that just goes through and harvests all of the grapes that you have, well, it's impossible to keep the chameleons out. So my dad always used to comment, always used to call certain wines Chateau Chameleon, which is obviously indicating the presence the presence of some form of chameleon DNA in there. So give it a thought when you're buying wine. But anyway, we're going to go over to Tristan for an update to see if he's had any luck with the Evoker male.
Well, Steve, into the wine conversation. I think Steve is getting prepped for this evening's apple juice with Seb. Seb likes a glass of a fermented grape every now and then, don't you, Seb? Yes. He's French after all, exactly. Right, now our morning is not going very well at all, which is there's lots of pressure this morning because it's Seb's birthday, and we're not doing very well. The Evoker male went north into Buffelshoek, up Gowrie cut line, and then on the Buffelshoek cut line, and then north that way. And we found tracks for a really fresh tracks for a nice big herd of ellies, and they've all just gone straight down Cheetah cut line and look like they're about to cross kind of towards Little Gowrie side. So we're just checking in case they came this way, but so far no sign of them. I think they've just carried on straight south. I was hoping they were going to turn onto sort of Leadwood and then we could get them if we go round, catch them in front, but I don't think that's going to be the case, I'm afraid. It looks increasingly like these guys might have already gone into an area maybe that we can't drive, which will be frustrating. And so, well, we're going to then turn our attention, if that is the case, to trying to go and see if we can find Tundi, Tlalamba or Tingana. I know Jamie looked yesterday afternoon without much success, but maybe now overnight they've walked a little bit and we can kind of pick up on some tracks. Of course, there was also a fourth leopard there as well, a skittish male, which is a kind of interesting sort of dynamic there. And I wonder if he was attracted by the noise of Tundi and Tingana mating, and then he kind of came in to see what was going on and saw cars and things and was just a bit shy and skittish and moved off. Maybe that's what's happened with him. So we'll try and go and scratch around. We'll see. Maybe we get lucky. You never know. It's worth kind of moving around in this area. If there's lots of ellies and hopefully there'll be a few leopards kind of sitting about as well. Now, I'm not sure if anyone's even looked for Hosanna yet this morning either, but Leadwood's not a bad road. If he was at Twin Dams last night, was he at Twin Dams last night, Seb? Was he at Twin Dams, Hosanna? Yeah. Okay, so he was at Twin Dams. So this is always not a bad road for him when he's on Twin Dams. He sometimes crosses the Mulwati and then comes along Leadwood a little bit and then towards Mamba and all over the place, really. So it's often a good place just to check for him. He might still be at Twin Dams itself. We know sometimes Hosanna doesn't move around all that much, although I would be very surprised if he was at Twin Dams. I'd be quite shocked if he was still there, unless he had a meal close by, and that's why he was around, but I don't think so. He would have taken Steve for a walk if he had had a meal close by. So we'll just see. We'll see what we can come up with. At the moment, it's very, very quiet. There's nothing on the radios. There's really very little going on our side of the world. But that can all change. You know how it goes out here. 1 minute it can be deathly quiet. The next minute you're in with a shout. Jim, with all the new vegetation, are we expecting to see more giraffe in the area? I suppose to a degree. It depends what kind of vegetation. Giraffe are not, they're quite fussy eaters, and so even though there's a lot of leaves on a lot of these trees, giraffes are actually not eating a lot of this stuff. They quite like things like acacia, and normally you find when we've got flowering acacia trees, then generally we have more giraffe in the area. But you know, this part of the world is not a hugely popular place for giraffe. They, you know, while we do see them, we don't see them in huge groupings like you do in the Masai Mara. That's a much better habitat and ecosystem for giraffe survival. Here, while it is, like I say, I mean, there is place for them. It's just they prefer to rather stay in the more open areas of the Kruger Park. So the central parts, you've got a lot of giraffe there that hang around that side. And so even though there are going to be times where we have flowering plants and we will have giraffe moving through, it's never in huge numbers, and they often are a tricky one to find. I mean, I remember the bane of my existence as a guide in the Sabi Sands, particularly down in the southern part of the Sabi Sands, was zebra and giraffe. Those were the two animals that were near impossible to find at times down there. And we would drive around and look and try all that we could to be able to find nothing. So, in fact, I remember going almost 3.5 months without seeing a single zebra, which gives you an idea of the kind of sort of difficulty in finding them. So, you know, they're not a hugely common species in this area, but at the end of the day, when there's flowering plants, they will come through a little bit. And like I say, acacias are the most. Right, now we're going to drop into the Mulwati, which means signal's not going to be great as we just quickly cross over towards Twin Dams. And so I'm going to send you across to Jamie.
All right, while Tristan does that, we've got a bird that does not need to use pickup lines. He has a very different approach to this whole romance thing, and I've just seen him do it. And unfortunately, now that we've stopped, I think that's probably going to stop him from repeating it. This is a red-crested korhaan, and a moment ago, it flew right up into the air and then dropped out of the sky. And they do that as part of an impressive mating display that, for some reason, the higher they fly and the further they fall before they open their wings, the more attractive that they are. So in a sheer display of stupidity, that is what the females are looking for. I'm going to try one more time, just to see if he'll do it for us. It's a tree. It's a tricky one. As I came round the corner, he fell out of the sky next to the road. It's something that I've been desperate to get on camera, but never really managed to achieve with any great success. Where's he gone? Lost him. Oh, there he is. Oh no, he's going the other way now. Oh, okay. All right, we're going back again. Come on. Never gonna get the ladies if you don't practice. He's going back again. Okay, this is doomed to failure. Jocelyn says no. Okay, now we're going this way. Jocelyn says that he looks like the Roadrunner. I can see that. Meep meep. Oh man, there's definitely... He's going that way. Craig, this is totally futile. I'm sorry. Lauren says that it would be Cole's law for... It just stops him. Let's try that sentence all again. Sorry, Lauren. Yes, Cole's law indeed. That, of course, is the law that we now apply to whenever we link or we try to get an animal to do what it was doing. It immediately stops doing it as soon as we go live. Cole's law. Similar to Murphy's law, just more specific. Oh, come on, there's definitely a pickup line in that. Falling out of the sky. Okay, no, this is ridiculous. He's not playing games with us. He's gone all shy. Oh, now he's calling. Oh no, you horrible bird. You horrible, horrible bird. He just did it. Ah! Man! Sorry, Craig, I couldn't get you out from behind the trees quick enough. Of course he did it. Horrible bird. Now where have you gone? Disgraceful. Really disgraceful. I give up. I give up. All right, we're going to move on. We'll get one eventually. Ugh. He's blinding this morning. My eyes are starting to feel it. Of course. Okay, so the plan, let's get back on track. The plan is to head across to where Hosanna was yesterday. I'm doing it quite slowly. I'm making my way there quite slowly just because I want to check carefully for any sign of hukumuri. That's our horrible hyenas, I think, their tracks here. I say they're our horrible hyenas because they've deserted us. and gone on to Little Gowrie, and their den is just here. Is this all hyena tracks here? Yes, it's all hyena tracks. Okay, let's go check Treehouse for Hosanna, and then we'll go check Twin Dams for where he was. Ouch. I'm basically just looking for an excuse not to drive straight east anymore. Oops. And after that, if we don't have any luck, then I'll go back and I'll double check for the lions and see whether or not the rest of the pride is still on Juma. I don't think so, though. I'm quite convinced that they're not. All right, I'm going to just do some chatting with Tristan in a moment. So while I do that, off you go to join Steve on Bushwalk. Never mind, you're not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere. You can share in my conversation with Trist. Trist. I just missed the beginning of that. Did you say female leopard? Okay, copy, awesome. I'm at Treehouse, so I'll poke around here. I was actually on the fire break. I'll head back that way. Okay, copy, thanks, but not cross south there. Copy, thank you. Okay, all right, you've caught half of that. Oh, Tristan is still talking to me. Okay, while we continue this conversation together, I'll send you across to Steve. He's managed to find some signal. Let's see what he's up to.
Thank you very much, Jamie. We have decided to stop and talk about a plant. We had a beautiful little caterpillar a moment ago, or a pupa, but unfortunately we didn't have any signal, so we had to move. But this is one of the easiest plants to identify out here, and let's get right in close and personal and see if we can see what's going on. First of all, you can see that the leaves, can you, Jean-Ray? The leaves are a little bit jagged on the side. This is called a simple leaf. You can see where the flower is growing out from the base there, which indicates the growth point. And if you feel the leaf, it's got a little bit of a rough texture to it. What's very characteristic of this family is if you look at the base of the leaf, it's not symmetrical. It's a term called obovate, which means that it's not exactly the same. One side is a little bit obscure to the other side, or unsymmetrical. But the most characteristic feature of this plant itself is this square stem that you have over here. Which makes it very easy to identify this as one of the grievous species, but the sandpaper raisin. And the fruits that will form after these flowers have been pollinated make a very nice little tonic for a body improvement. Apparently a nice tonic for a pregnant woman, because it gives you all the minerals that you need, all the electrolytes that possibly are required during the pregnancy period. So a very nice little plant. And also these branches have been known to be used to make a form of bow. I wouldn't say a bow for hunting, but a bow when you make a bow for a drill. If you've heard of the making fire with sticks, if your one stick is on the floor like that, you need some form of bow to hold it like this, to turn the stick. Rather than using your hands, you can use one of these with some twine to basically use it like a saw, like that, which will help in Egyptian geese are shouting. There they go. 3 of them having a little bit of an aerial competition. Believe it or not, we even have Egyptian geese in North America now. No doubt someone came along, found some goslings, as we like to talk about the goslings, and decided to take them over to the States. I don't think that they flew over there. Those of you who've flown over to Europe or to Africa know it's a very long way. I don't even think the very powerful and strong Egyptian goose could make that journey on their own. Anyway, on we go. Lovely sandpaper raisin. Nice tonic. Useful in the bush, and they don't get enormous out here because all the raisins are very, very tasty. The fruits are edible, the leaves are edible, and the elephants love the roots. Oh, Laramu, I don't know of any tea that's made out of this plant. Definitely a tonic, so by soaking the fruits in water, you make a nice tonic out of it. I don't know where you'd be able to buy it as with regards to a tea, or if anyone's selling it. It is all over the place in the bush, so I don't think it's worth selling, because why go and buy it if you can just make it yourself? We've got a huge one in camp, and it's there because Daryl hasn't quite gotten to it yet. But grevias, or raisins, that grow inside of camps, fenced camps, they get really, really big. You get them the size of this tree over here, which is quite big for a raisin, but generally you never find them taller than what we just saw just now. That's because they're so tasty, and obviously no doubt the animals know that there's benefits to it, so that's why they munch it very, very nicely. And a lovely grass over here, probably the easiest grass to identify. Very, very easy to identify. This is called the Eragrostis superba, which is a love grass or sawtooth love grass. And you see them, Jean-Andre. Cool. And it's also known commonly as popcorn grass. Are you ready for it? I'm going to have to come closer for you to see why they call it popcorn grass. Are you ready? There we go. Popped off. Little party trick for the day. How magic was that? Magic trick, you know. We just got to keep you entertained. That is our job out here, to keep you entertained. Well, as we now emerge from the depths of the drainage line there, we are almost to the eastern side of Djuma, and well, there's been no sign of these male lions, or this male lion coming through, but along this road heading through maybe Tundi, maybe Tlalamba, will make their way back. Jamie spent a lot of time yesterday afternoon trying to find them. This is an area that they spend a lot of time. So I wouldn't mind seeing little Princess Tlalamba, even if it's just very briefly on foot. I haven't seen her since July or August. Can you believe it? Can you believe? Obviously I've seen pictures and footage, but it's not really the same when you get to, I spent most of last year with her. Watch her go from this little ball of fluff to, just gets bigger and bigger. Very, very special indeed. Well, Jamie is obviously still in the search for some cats. I don't know where exactly she is. Let's jump over probably to the western side of Djuma and see what she's got over there.
I've obviously what? Sorry. That delay is playing absolute havoc with our links at the moment. We miss everything that the person before us says. So I've absolutely no idea what I obviously did. I obviously did something. Or... I'm on Weaver's Nest. I'm on Weaver's Nest, and I obviously am looking for cats, and I found tracks. I don't think these are female leopards, though. These look like a male leopard. Hold on a moment. Let us just find a nice sandy spot. They're going that way, so I'm not driving over them. Well, I am, but... oh, now I've lost them. Kitty cats. Oh, Ellie's a... ah, there we go. There we go, on top of those Ellie tracks. Try not to... I'm gonna, no matter what I do, I'm going to put my shade on them, so... hang on. Just switch off... I'm just going to switch off for a moment. There's a squirrel going crazy. Now there's tracks here. They're very, very indistinct in this light, unfortunately for you. They don't look like female though, they look like male, but that squirrel is exactly where Tristan lost those female tracks. I suspect this could be Hosanna, it could also be Tingana. Let's just go see what that squirrel's shouting at. It's very upset. It's just where Tristan lost those tracks before. Are those male tracks? No, they are. I'm not going crazy. Those are much too big. I haven't seen Tundi's tracks in a while, but well, maybe. Actually, they do look quite narrow. We've missed something. Just gotta see what the squirrel's saying. Tundi is by far and away the hardest leopard for us to track. She has a way about her that she doesn't move, she doesn't use roads all that often. She often changes direction, she moves backwards and forwards. Squirrel's gone quiet now. It's interesting. A couple of drives ago, we actually extended the morning safari because there were so many vultures around this area. And they're still around, which is odd. And I think that's what the squirrel was shouting at because there's a kite as well. Ooh, okay. I'm going to go continue on the search for this lovely leopard while we do. Steve has got a gruesome scene for you to witness.
Well, good luck, Jamie. The squirrels sometimes can be very confusing. Those guys aren't always that reliable, but every now and again they can be very, very truthful, but you never really know. But we have found ourselves a very interesting sighting. If you are a little bit of an arachnophobe, turn away right now. We've found a beautiful nest of community web spiders, and it's so interesting to see them out and about busy doing what they're doing. And they've actually caught what seems to be some form of insect. I haven't gotten close enough to investigate what it is, but the purpose of the community web spiders is hundreds or thousands of these little guys combine their web, their silk, into a much larger nest so as to catch prey much bigger than they themselves would normally be able to catch. Sort of like a lion pride, if you were to work together to try and catch larger prey. The community web spider kind of has that in themselves. Oh, that beetle is still alive, Jean-Dre. Well, that insect is still alive, and the spiders are probably going to just suck him dry. Being an arthropod insects basically mean they've got a hard exoskeleton, and inside is basically just the hemocool, which is a body full of liquid, and gaseous exchange happens in there, food movement happens in there. It's basically just a very big open system filled with hemolymph, which is basically a mixture of blood and lymphatic system, so it's all connected in one. They don't have the same capillary network that we have. It's just a body full of fluid that's pumped around by a very long heart that pretty much lies along the back of the animal. The oxygen comes in on small little spiracles and just gets sort of diffused through the body, and the pumping heart just pushes the liquids and the fluid all around, which keeps everything oxygenated and full of food. The waste as well gets distributed out through the kidneys and through sort of a digestive tract, and while the spiders will just bite in and suck that liquid out. A very, very sad way to go, I suppose, but there are so many insects around at the moment that this... Ooh, he's going to escape. He's going to escape. He's fallen down over here. Some sort of bug. I can't tell you what it is, but he's managed to scare the spiders enough that they've all run back into their house. So some insects are just a little bit too big and strong for the spider, and so they were trying to kill him, but it looks as if he might make a break for it. A little bit of a James Bond there. Okay, well, while we move on from these very interesting looking spiders, Tristan has got something very special.
Well, how cool is that? Sounds like an epic sighting that Steve had. It's the best thing about bushwalk at the moment is the amount of spiders that are constantly going after various food items. Now you can see we have a beautiful herd of ellies here. I'm going to go forward a little bit for Seb because most of the ellies are going towards a marula tree, and I'm hoping that if we stop there, we might get them all kind of coming towards the Seb. All the way down Cheetah Cut Line, and they came down towards, towards Chitwa Dam. Very stationary and quiet, and no one was really moving around too much. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just started running across into an open area. And you can see there's all these amongst the these guys.
Well, Amanda preempted the escape of that James Bond-like beetle, or bug, has been descended upon once again by hordes of spiders. We thought he might have got away, but it seems like they've caught up with him again. There's at least 6 on him. He's still moving. He's still trying to break free. Suddenly hear a bit of a Freddie Mercury song there in my head. So the spiders will have to immobilize him and then try and bite to suck out the hemolymph inside. Being quite a hard-shelled insect, it'll be probably quite tricky to do so. And each time he's escaping, he's busy damaging the web. But all the spiders are moving through the web as we speak, producing more silk, patching up holes as they go. It's very, very nice to see them all out and about like this. It's most common that you find them all hidden inside, and this is the nightmare of all those who do not like spiders. We've got Lauren on walk with us, and she is about 50 meters away from here. She doesn't like spiders, so she is long gone. Doesn't even want to come and have a look at these pretty little things. But they're harmless. I wouldn't be concerned at all. But can you imagine, though, almost like a Gulliver when he got caught by all the small people? It seems to be the way of this bug. He's trying to get out, but all of his movements, all they're doing is attracting more spiders to his thrashing attempts to escape. Can you see those 2 over there, Jean-Andre? And they're busy spinning. Busy using their back legs to actually produce silk. Just down at the bottom over here. They're busy working as we go. Both their back legs are pumping as they are pulling out the spinnerets, pulling out the silk from their spinnerets, which is right at the bottom, right above the anus. Quite interesting. Can you see that? See how they're producing it. Silk or web is essentially just a protein-based particle that spiders are able to ingest generally. Snazzy, it is a scary movie for those of you who don't like spiders. I find this absolutely fantastic. I don't find it frightening, but if you don't like spiders, this is not the thing you would like to wake up to in the morning. But spiders have got many different purposes for silk. Some of them are for the stabilization lines in webs, the very strong ones. Some are for the delicate little bits that go between. Some are for sort of abseiling with. Some are for wrapping up their prey. And there's different organs within the spinnerets that help them to produce different silk as they require it. And it is just protein-based, as I said. And they're able to get it from their diet. Excuse me, and many spiders are actually able to re-ingest their silk to then redo the web the next day. A lot of spiders will come out at night. Kite spiders, bark spiders will produce a web across the road or across a pathway, obviously looking to catch nocturnal insects. And then as day or dawn starts to break, they'll just reabsorb it or eating it back in, basically just recycling the web for later use. And they've done some studies on spider silk and web, and it is the strongest product for its density and size that has ever been created. And if we were able to mimic spider web, we'd be able to really, really maximize the engineering capacity across the world. Can you imagine you could build something with spider web and then just repurpose it again? reuse it again, suck it back into whatever machine used it, and then just use it again. Wouldn't that be marvelous? Everything we seem to build is permanent. Well, how incredible is this? Just the smaller things. This is the wonderful part about being on Bushwalk, is the ability to just stop and spend time with the small and creepy. Well, it seems like Tristan's technical issues or signal issues have stabilized. Let's go back to him with his beautiful herd of elephants.
Well, we're trying to figure out some sort of signal, and so apologize about just now. We had the ellies all around us and couldn't really move at all, unfortunately, which is why we kind of lost signal at a critical moment. But anyway, it's a nice herd of ellies that was at Chitwa Dam. Unfortunately, they've gone highly mobile and they're now crossing the cut line. So this is the cut line between Little Gowrie and Chitwa. Most of them are already inside Little Gowrie at the moment. And they, I don't know why, all of a sudden got a bee in their bonnet and decided to cross Chitwa open area very quickly. They were sort of quite relaxed and feeding on the marulas and taking it very easy, and then all of a sudden kind of just ran across the open area, and I'm not sure why. Now, there's also a lot of noise from impalas at the moment. All the little babies seem to be talking quite a bit. It's quite an interesting kind of sound that's being made. Now here comes some more that are across the road in front of us. So nice size herd, actually, a good 20 odd of them. I don't know if you can hear the impalas in the background. They're making a huge racket. Apparently you can't actually hear them, which is unfortunate. They're making quite a bit of a noise, actually. Anyway, you can hear the woodland, but you can't hear the impala. I'm not sure how that's possible, but anyway, doesn't matter. Who knows how sound works on these cameras. Okay, so you can hear them now, but can you hear them? Amazing sound, actually. Anyway, the ellies are just slowly kind of feeding their way now. They seem to have calmed down a little bit, which is good news. They don't seem to be nearly as kind of mobile as what they were. Unfortunately, though, it's mostly the young ones towards the edge, and like I say, they are going to cross out fairly shortly. But these guys have walked quite far. They've come all the way down Cheetah Cut Line from the northern Buffelshoek boundary, and have just walked straight south all the way. And so there's obviously a place that they want to get to. Maybe the presence of all these males that are around on Djuma at the moment is what's driving them to be fairly mobile. You'll find these poor herds, as much as they want to make use of the marulas too, they get a little bit kind of dominated by the bulls at times. Look at that. Look at their stretching. Amazing how high they can actually stretch up and reach for marulas. It's absolutely incredible, the kind of heights that these guys can attain. Very, very cool. Now she's the last one of the herd, so I would imagine this is the matriarchal female that is just kind of bringing up the rear. Hello. Beautiful girl. Isn't that majestic? I think so. And off she goes into Little Gowrie. Very, very pleasant to sit and watch ellies. I thoroughly enjoy spending time with them, and it's a pity, like I say, that this herd is not sort of a little bit less mobile. It would be nice to have just kind of spent a few minutes with longer than what we have now, because they're going to disappear fairly shortly through that green growth. Now I just need to speak to Peter. Yeah, Peter, go ahead. Right, so just chatting to Peter there and just getting a little bit of an update. But the problem is that my game drive radio is so poor at the moment that I can't really hear. Copy that, thanks Peter. So unfortunately on this eastern side, so we have two different kind of radio systems. You have a digital and an analog system out here. So the digital system is the one we use on Juma, and that's because it's digital means that we get a really nice clear signal on our radio. The analog system though that's on the rest of the properties like Chitwa and what was on Arathusa gets scrambled by our signal heavily, and basically we get is this white noise in our ears, which is really tricky to actually hear what's going on, so you have to concentrate a little bit. So I apologize if I was a bit quiet there, but anyway, we're just trying to get an update for the eastern side to try and see if anyone's had any sign of Tandi, Kalamba or any of them. Also if there's any updates on Hosana, because I went past Twin Dams, we didn't find any of his tracks. There was a track though for a female leopard walking around there, and so it's interesting and intriguing to me that Hosana was there and now tracks for a female as well. Now I'm just listening just to hear what's going on, but anyway, there's lots of talk but very little actually in the way of updates. Now Coast, I'm not sure if we're going to lose signal. We're going to head into a really tricky part of Chitwa that we used to lose signal, but I'm not sure with the new mast. Actually haven't driven this road in so long. We're right on the cut line with Little Gowrie at the moment, and so I'm not sure how the signal is going to go, but let's see. Anyway, in the meantime though, we're going to kind of scratch around, see what else we can find, and I'll send you across to Jamie and see what she's up to.
Alrighty, well, Tristan sort of knocks about around Twin Dams. I'm not convinced in my own mind that I'm tracking the female that he saw tracks for. The tracks just look a little bit too large, but they've come towards Treehouse Dam and then cut south. I knew I didn't miss anything on this road. They cut south down into this block towards the fire break again. And it's weird, in some types of soil they look quite small, in some they look a little bit too large to be Tundis. So I'm not 100% convinced. I'm going to go around and just check. Where I turned, where I said I wanted an excuse to drive north, away from the sun a little bit, or not drive into the sun, that was where those tracks were going. If I'd carried on east, if this leopard's out of this block, I would have picked up on them again. I think it's probably hunting somewhere in there. So they've walked straight along to Treehouse Dam, and then just before Treehouse, moved off. I just missed them. Aegis, you want to know if a squirrel could ever be shouting at us or alarm calling at us? Definitely not in the vehicles, they don't do that. I have seen them do it occasionally for people on foot, but it's quite unusual. It's not something that happens very regularly, that they sort of turn around and alarm call at people on foot. They don't really see people on foot as a threat. We're not really... we're not natural predators of squirrels, I don't feel. And they don't seem to be threatened by us on foot. I've seen it happen once or twice, and I've seen impala alarm call at people on foot every now and again, but it's very unusual. And the squirrels on Juma, I don't think I've ever seen them alarm call at us. But it can happen. I think that whatever evolutionary thoughts might have crossed their mind that we would be a threat have long since passed, and probably if humans were catching squirrels, it would have been with traps or with some sort of propelled device, which means that they wouldn't really have associated it with people on foot. So I don't think that they're scared of us at all. They sit in the trees and watch us go past. Yeah. Check this pan carefully. I've been thinking a few random thoughts while I've been driving along. I've been wondering whether or not Tandi, if she is in estrus, might mate with Hukumuri. And females in estrus do actually try to spread themselves as far and wide as possible in terms of the males that they mate with, because it makes sense safety-wise for their cubs. I don't think she's in estrus though. I think she would still be mating with Tingano if she were, unless, I don't know, I'm speculating purely here, just trying to figure out all the different nuances of what's happening with our leopards. That young male thrown into the mix confuses things. Sammy Jane says random thoughts are good. I'm glad you feel that way, because otherwise I would probably completely be completely unbearable to you. Because while I'm driving and while I'm concentrating, because I'm concentrating quite hard on what's going on, it actually means that I do a lot of babbling because it's easy to do while I'm thinking about multiple other things at the same time. Let's check the quarry. Haven't been here since Shongile and Hosanna were cubs. I loved it here. Ah, memories. Memories of them playing around, hiding in trees. There's nothing here though. This is a man-made borrow pit. A borrow pit is basically where for whatever reasons, whether it's to fix up a dam wall or if it is to help to cover up the roads after a big rain, this is where the dirt will come from. So there's certain borrow pits, spiderweb up my nose, certain borrow pits throughout the reserve where they've been utilized for sand. So it's a man-made dugout area. Leopards love them. This one, obviously you could tell by the grass as we were driving around there, hadn't been used in some time. You can hear a Sterling's wren warbler. Only just recently started hearing them again. Oh, marvelous news. Happy day, happy day. Tristan's got a surprise for you. I don't know what it is. Off you go to him.
We do indeed. It's a birthday surprise for Sebastian because he wanted to see these this morning, and so Sebastian is very, very happy. And there you can see, oh, look at that, little puppies. So we've got dogs, which is awesome. They are currently coming onto Chitwa, so they're coming from the south, kind of heading northwards, and they are trotting along. It looks like it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm sure Investec Breakaways is who we've got at the moment, and they are looking quite slender, which means that I think they'll go on the hunt. If they go to Chitwa Dam, they've got a good chance. There are impalas everywhere at Chitwa Dam, literally hundreds of them kind of cruising around there. So that's where they need to head if they are wanting to do a spot of hunting. But how epic is it to have dogs? Our luck this morning has changed. We've got our ellies, we've got dogs, and there's even very, very, very fresh tracks for a female leopard, which I think must be Sibui. That's what my kind of call is, especially on that cut line with little Gari. I'd imagine it would be for her. But so there's lots of things happening on Chitwa, which is wonderful news for us, and I believe a lot of you are very happy. I'm also very happy that we found the dogs. Dogs are always such a cool animal to spend time with, and especially, you know, for Seb, he was saying this morning, we were having a chat about how the dogs kind of were around before he arrived back from leave and then just disappeared, and we hadn't really been seeing them again. And now, you know, Seb was like, I really wished he could see dogs for his birthday, and so I'm glad that we could at least deliver one thing. We might not have got Bukamuri on a warthog kill, Seb, but we have got doggies, which is just as good. There we go. So Seb is happy, which is a good thing. Don't worry, Seb, we're going to get a leopard now as well. We're going to get leopard with wild dogs. How about that? We'll do everything. We blanked a little bit with the lion, but we'll that's okay. We'll trade lion with dogs. Exactly, it's not our fault he grew wings and flew. I agree, Seb. Now, unfortunately, the way that they're running at the moment is not quite ideal. They're kind of heading to the east more than they are, to the west more than they are east and north, which is not really ideal because that means they're running towards kind of Vessel's little Gari area. And the way that these guys move, oh, careful, Seb, we're going to have a tough time keeping up with them this quickly. So, you know, and they're going to cross out fairly fast, which is not ideal. I'm hoping they're going to turn more north though. And there goes a slender mongoose that's running for its life. It's amazing how everything just runs away when dogs are around. So I'm going to try to get around them quickly. Try to get towards where they are. We should just squeeze through here and we should get a really nice view of them shortly. So if you guys just give me 2 seconds, we're going to get just towards the road area and they should come trotting down the road itself right alongside us. There we go. They're coming rather quickly down the road past us, as you can see, and this is the typical dog trot. Snazzy, you say they're so pretty, and you wonder if their fur feels the same as a German Shepherd's fur. Well, I'd imagine probably not quite the same. They're not as long-haired as what a German Shepherd is, and also at the end of the day these guys don't get any baths or parlor time, and so they are a little bit dusty and dirty, and therefore their coats probably feel a lot more hard and bristly comparatively speaking to a German Shepherd. So not quite the same thing. We're just going to let this car go past and have a view of them while we kind of follow behind. So this is how the things work often when you're with dogs, is that everybody just gets a kind of leapfrog effect turn, and I'm just hoping that when they get here that they're going to turn north here. We have a very good chance of these guys actually finding this leopard for us. Her tracks were very fresh on top of the vehicle tracks, going up and down, and so going south, north, and it looked like there might have even been tracks there for the cub too. So there's kind of a lot of movement, and like I said, I am guessing Sibui. That's the guess that I have. I might be wrong, but I would imagine that's it. Oh, this one's got a stick, look. This is one of the puppies from last year's denning season, and that one's decided that that's the branch it's going to carry with it as it goes along. It's for some reason taken an interest in a branch with lots of dry leaves on it. Now these guys, like I say, if they head from here and then they cut more to the kind of right, then we'll start to see them heading in the right direction to find a leopard for us, which would that be epic if we had dogs and leopard. It's been so long since I've had wild dogs and leopard interaction. It's really kind of one of those things where, you know, it's absolute pandemonium when it happens, and you just see leopard up tree, dogs yelping and going crazy. Oh, there's a steenbok that has just escaped with its life. It's got flushed out right next to these dogs. Really? Sorry about the vehicle, everybody. I don't know why they're crisscrossing the road like this, but anyway, we'll hopefully eventually be able to get some sort of view of the dogs without a car in the way. Let me just reposition Seb, try and give you a better shot. Seems like they're settling a little bit for now. Obviously they're going to move quite a bit, and you know, with wild dogs is that they typically you know, move quite quickly, and then they'll settle for a bit, and then they'll move again. Exactly, this is how we kind of don't find these animals, is because they carry branches around to clear their own tracks on the road so that we can't see where they've gone. So that's exactly what's happened, is that they've decided to clear the road of their own tracks, and maybe that's what the lion did this morning too, is carried around a branch just to kind of wipe the tracks behind him. It's actually, funny enough, something that poachers will do from time to time too, is that they will actually clear their tracks using branches. So it is something that maybe the dogs have learned. Either way, epic to see wild dogs again, isn't it? Seb, I'm going to move just slightly so you've got a view of actually the whole pack rather than just one and having to battle past this vehicle. So if we just get in a little bit to the sort of right here, we should get a really nice kind of view of most of them. And you guys just stop running around now. Settle down. The problem is it's the alpha male and the alpha female that are so kind of mobile at the moment. They're moving around all over the place, and if they move, then the rest of the pack generally follows. Now there's one dog that's limping in here, a young male that is closest to us, and as Grant says, Grant is the guy that studies the wild dogs in the Kruger system. He says if you see a pack of wild dogs and there isn't one limping, then it's generally something is wrong. There's always dogs limping in a pack of wild dogs. It's just the way that they are, the lifestyle that they lead, and the way that they run around. Like hooligans, they often stand in a little bit of a hole. So you can see that one is the one that's limping a little bit, but that's not a bad limp at all. I've seen a wild dog surviving perfectly fine on 2 legs, let alone 4. It lost both of its other legs to snares, and yet it still was okay. Right, let's quickly move before they cross over, because they're going to leave us shortly, unfortunately. If they just turned north this way, it would have been perfect. It's always nice to use dogs to find a leopard. It makes life that much easier. Oof, I think we're going to lose them here, I'm afraid, Seb. Can we fit through here? Yes, we can. It's tight, but we can. Now, I believe a lot of you are amazed that there was a dog that only had 2 legs that survived. I know, it's pretty incredible, isn't it? But it's true. There was a dog that only had 2 legs, and there's another one that was running around in Kruger recently with only 3 legs. So they do lose legs every now and then, unfortunately, to snaring practices. So it had on opposite corners, Kirst was asking me which 2 legs it had. So it had basically on its, oh no, we've got a massive branch. Oh, there we go, it's off. It had basically its, I think it was its front right or front left, and then the opposite one on the back. And so it just kind of hobbled along like that, which is pretty weird to watch, and amazing in its own right. Okay, well, we're through that now, and unfortunately, they've crossed over on to what looks like they're on Vessels now. So we're just south of the four-way junction. Unfortunately, they actually ran this exact route the other day when I saw them when we were on tracking team. So last week Sunday, they ran this exact route and pretty much the same way. And so we unfortunately are not probably going to see much more of them. I just want to check on the road up ahead. We can stop at this junction and we might get a view of them from this junction. So this is the four-way junction between Chitwa, Vessels and Little Gari, basically. I don't think we can. I can see where the car is, so they can still see them, but unfortunately we can't go there. That's the end of our traversing, and so if the dogs run there, I don't think so. I think they've angled a little bit further, given that that vehicle has moved, unfortunately. Sorry, Seb. Brief glimpse, but a good glimpse, exactly, Seb. So it's at least a small birthday present, but a good one. Hopefully they'll come back. You never know where they're going to go. They might run north towards Djuma, and we might get them. In the meantime, though, we're going to go try and see if we can find this leopard. And while we do that, let's send you, I think we're going to Steve and the Bushwalk team on the road.
Well, how awesome is that? Wild Dogs, happy birthday, Sebastian. Well, they came out just for you. Well, while we were doing the spider segment, Jandre and Rexon heard this, whoa, whoa, which is the characteristic bark of a nyala. And we've come forward to see what we can find. And what we have found in the sand over here is tracks of a male lion. I don't know if it's the same one that Tristan's been following. This is the back foot of the line. Here's the toes, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the pads there, and this is very fresh. This happened while we were doing that last segment with you. So we're in the road now. The lion is walking in the road straight towards sort of Nyala Road North and Buffelshoek Dam. So we're going to see if we can catch up, because this could be quite exciting. We wanted to track and find something this morning, and well, a male lion would be just that. Give the other guys something to see. Obviously, tracking a lion, we'll find it. Here's his tracks are going off. Here's Rexon. We'll just track Rex for a sec. He's just in front of us here. But obviously you find a male lion on foot. We might get a view of him. Not going to get too much of a sighting. Basically it's just going to be, you see a male lion, have a bit of a view, call in the vehicle and then leave. That's kind of what it is with lions on foot. But the feeling of it is really quite special. You're never really expecting to get amazing photographs or amazing footage of a lion on foot. It's not really what it's all about. On foot, it's just about the feeling, the presence of knowing that you are on foot with the king of the jungle. Being on foot is a very, very special privilege, and many guests that I've had in the past who want to have, see how fresh that is there, eh? Very, very fresh. Many guests that I've had in the past who want to have amazing photography, well, jump on a vehicle for that. Being on foot, it's not about the photographs, it's about the awe-inspiring experience. He's walking quite quickly. Straight along the road here. We did call in the alarm calls, and Aubrey from Voitela has come through to give us a hand. He's in front of us here somewhere, but hasn't been another report just yet. But I'm going to stay on these tracks, see where he goes. Maybe it's the same lion Tristan was tracking. He's walked quite a long distance, then all the way from Voitela Pan to come all the way down Gwari Pan in the east to go back again. Yes, we'd be very excited to see a lion on foot. I love tracking and finding lions on foot. It's just something about it. I remember the first time I managed to track lines and I found them. There's something about the success in doing that is just really, really quite special, because they say to be able to stand and look a lion in the eye is a true testament to becoming a man. Are we feeling manly today, Jean-Andre? We are feeling man. Carol, you're asking, do we assume it's an evoker? It's a male lion by the track, most likely an evoker. I'm not going to guarantee it, but generally those are the male lions that we have in the area at the moment. Who knows? We had Hosanna off the property for quite a while, and suddenly he was back like that on this exact road as well. Who knows? Maybe the Birminghams have come back. Wouldn't that be something? Find the Birminghams on foot. That would be very, very cool. I haven't seen them in lots and lots, well, in many months, should I say. But I would assume that it is a evoker male. But without actually seeing the animal, I can't tell you for sure. But he's walking quickly, moving in the coolness of the dawn. Lisa, you hope it's not cranky pants? Well, cranky pants or not, it's still going to be something. I think he will. Seeing a male lion on foot is just special, and we're not going to get that close to him if we do find him. Just basically, you'll just see these ears in the grass as he looks up at you, and he goes flat again. So we'll give him lots of space. His tracks are still here. He's walking straight along the road. That's one of the marvelous things about the Sabi Sands, the road network out here. So let me just explain to you how I can tell. He slowed down just slightly. Where did that track go? Here is his tracks here. Here is the back foot, and here is the front foot. There the front foot ends, and there the back foot starts. So he's slowed down his walking now. He's walking at just a medium speed. Not walking very fast, but at a medium speed. And the front track is very messy, because when male lions walk, they hit the ground like that. So it doesn't make a very nice track like the back foot does. He's walking directly here, medium pace. We're about 20 minutes behind him. Hopefully we can find him. Rexon's on the radio up there, so maybe he's got some news for us. If Aubrey has found him, that'll be a bit disappointing, because we would like to find him and then call in the vehicles. But while we continue on, while we see if we can find exactly where this individual's gone, let's go over to Jamie, who I'm sure will come up and give us a hand shortly.
Good luck, Steve. I hope you have some success and that you find exactly where that lion is. I'm having no success at all. Or at least I know where that leopard is. Or roughly which block it's in. I just can't find it within the block itself. And I can't hear any alarm calls. And there's part of me sometimes, what you seeing there, Craig? You got something? Hyena on my side. Let me just check up ahead. Someone's driven this road. No, there's leopard tracks, but they've been driven over. I think this must have been from when Hosanna walked to Treehouse. They're going that way. There's definitely leopard tracks here, but they've been driven over. Unless he came with the tracks coming this way. That way, yeah. No, there's definitely old leopard tracks there. There's always a little secret part of me that I can confess to you, that when I see female tracks, especially around that area around Treehouse Dam, even though I know it is next to impossible, there's always a little secret part of me that hopes that one day I'm going to follow them and little Shongile is going to be standing there all grown up, looking at me as if to say, hello, I'm back. And I know it's not going to happen, but we can all have a little dream, and that's my dream. In fact, I sometimes actually actively dream that. It's ridiculous, but it's true. I often dream that I'm doing a live drive and that we come upon Shongile. It's just one of those things. I know now everybody's going to be sad again. I'm sorry, but that's what I always think about, especially because Tandi's been spending so much time east. If Shongi was ever going to come back, that's what she would do. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Shongololo, also known properly as Shongile, is Hosanna's sister, so his litter mate, and she managed to survive. She held on to survival literally by the skin of her teeth during those first few months after her mum disappeared. They were still very, very young when her mum vanished, and she had a fight with Thandi, and the next day was gone, and we never saw her ever again. And we don't know exactly what happened. We don't know if she ran. We don't know if she was badly injured. We don't know if Thandi actually really completely lost her temper with her and potentially killed her. We just don't know. It's one of those things. She was never seen again. She was never heard of again. And Shongololo was so relaxed that with vehicles, with people on foot, that we were convinced that if she were alive, someone would have seen her. Someone would have picked up on her. Now, she probably went north if she did run away, which gives us a little bit of hope, because she could be, you never know, she might be knocking around Manuleti quite happily. I think chances are that's not the case, but let's be positive about it. But I always have this dream that, you know, there's plenty of space now for Tlalamba and for Shongile, and Thandi's getting older. There's plenty of space for two young leopards. Christy, you say that you believe it, you really do. I'm glad you do. Hold on to that. You know, what does it matter if you're wrong? Unless we know, which at this point, if she never turns up again, we'll never know. And if she does, well, then you'll be able to say, I told you so. So hold on to it. Hold on to that. I'm afraid I'm not convinced, but I can still dream. I can still hope. I can still go back to Treehouse Dam and check those tracks again, because it's driving me mad. Know that leopard's in there somewhere. Female leopards are that much harder to find than males. They don't walk in a straight line. They duck and dive. I don't know where Hosanna's gone. Probably chilling in the Mulwati somewhere. Laughing at us because we don't have signal there anymore. There's another thing I'm waiting to find. It's still a little bit early, but it could happen. And that's Hosanna mating with Thandi. Because it could happen. He's not quite there yet, but it could happen. Christine, you say you would dream of Karula coming back. I get that. I get that. It's not a dream that I share. Not because I don't like Karula. Obviously, Karula is a very special leopard, but just because her passing, it was dignified. She disappeared. We didn't have to watch her lose condition or get ill or get attacked or anything like that. She just disappeared. And in a way, it for me was okay because she was an older leopard, but Shongile was still so young and had so much ahead of her. I know, it sounds ridiculous. I mean, it's nature. It's how things go. But I guess you got tracks again. It's a wheel nut. I wonder whose wheel nut that is. Is it our size? Well, I might grab it because we're short on them. I hope it's not someone who's changed a tire and forgotten to tighten the nut. That would be disastrously unfortunate. Where is it? Over there. Am I being completely blind? Oh, yes, I am. It's right there. Looks like a rock. Hold on, I'm jumping out quickly. Let me grab it. Yep, it's one of ours. Ta-da! It's a bit... seen better days. Still serviceable, though. Probably come off one of our spare tires. Those things are like hen's teeth, so I'm going to keep it. Thank you, Craig. At least we've accomplished something this morning. Our lions deserted us. I can't find a leopard to save my skin. And well, at least we can return triumphant with a rusty wheel nut. It's the little achievements, day by day. And of course, I've set everybody off in devastation about the disappearance of our Chungile. Okay, one more trip round Treehouse Dam. What harm could it possibly cause? Okay, well, it has been a thoroughly leopard-free morning this morning. Let's go and see whether or not the leopard whisperer himself can turn things around.
It has been a leopard-free morning, but we're trying to change that quite quickly. There's tracks all over Chitwa for leopards. Unfortunately, though, Sibui and the cub have been found 200 meters from the cut line where we found those tracks. They found her just inside Little Gari. Apparently, she's looking very agitated and is going up and down. And so I'm thinking that maybe Tundi and Tlalamba are also around somewhere. And so I'm just driving around, or maybe even Kuchava, you never know. So I'm just kind of checking all the likely little leopard spots that I know on Chitwa. All these kind of little sort of hidden areas that often get used by the cats. And then I'm also going to check a little bit of Torchwood as well. So I'm going to check Lion Tree Road. That's just north of where all the cats were. And then I'm going to come down and we'll check along the Muluwanini and just try and kind of scratch around here. But there's definitely tracks on this northern road called Shirombi, and then there's tracks that are kind of up and down on the cut line. So I'm sure we can find ourselves a spotty bum somewhere to cap off our morning. Our morning started off quite poor, but it's gotten infinitely better since we've had the Ellies and the dogs, and there's leopard possibilities as well, which is always exciting. So hopefully we will get a spotty cat at some point. No one can give me an update on Hosanna from this side. They said they haven't seen anything, but they've been so busy with dogs and Sibui, I don't think so. I mean, it could be. He's a male cat, and so, you know, females coming into estrus, and his testosterone that's going to start flushing over the course of the next few years is going to mean that he is going to be very much attracted to any female cat, and that could be Tlalamba, it could be Tundi, it could be Sibui, Kuchava, any of them. If they're in heat, that will set him off, and he'll start to try and kind of go towards where they are and try and sort of mate with them. So definitely I would imagine that he would be attracted to her. Whether or not he would be now because she's not in estrus is debatable. The thing about Hosanna, though, is he's quite a sort of sociable cat, isn't he? And so he might, if he sees Sibui, he might approach her and just try and see what's going on there and investigate who is this new creature that I have in my area, and have a little look around. But her tracks are everywhere here. I mean, she's been all over the place, and I'm pretty sure Tlalamba's tracks are those ones that we saw there, which would mean that she's on the other side of the Muluwanini. This is where the kill was yesterday and the day before. And I'm just trying to see if any of the boys' tracks are around. It's lots of hyena tracks. Mostly, there's very little. There's one of the males' tracks kind of going straight in that direction. So, but they're not very fresh. They've been driven over, I'm afraid. And I say one of the males because there was two males that were here. But I'm just scanning around. You never know what's still lingering. I doubt there is anything because there's not really any food left here. But you never can be too sure whether or not one of our cats has just decided to kind of sit up here and maybe lie. We find one of them kind of here. Now, in terms of the mating, I was also just thinking about that with Tingana and Tundi. I'm not sure she's in a proper estrus cycle. I mean, it's obviously debatable, and she did mate with Tingana. I mean, this is clearly very evident. But part of me just does not feel like they are in a proper estrus cycle. Jamie would have found them yesterday if they were mating. She would have heard them mating. It's a very vocal affair, and if you just switch and turn off, and even when you're far, you'll hear them. So that she was just trying to mate with all of them and just try and keep Tlalamba safe. Okay, so Anna Marie, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday. I hope that you are going to have a wonderful day, and you say that you are not giving up hope for a leopard. No, Anna Marie, one must never give up hope. We shall find a leopard. If not this morning, we shall find one this afternoon. It's This morning I didn't spend much time looking for leopard because I was trying to surprise Sebastian with the dogs, and I think we pulled it off quite well. And so, Anna Marie, we will try now find you a leopard. I have good feelings and good vibes going out there, and so hopefully a little spotty bum will be hanging from a tree or something like that. We'll be able to kind of utilize it to find you your leopard. Interestingly enough, though, most of the tracks look like they go into Chitwa, not into Torchwood, but let's check. We can try and have a little bit of a go. Obviously the signal in Torchwood is a little dicey, and so we're going to have to be a bit careful about where we actually drive, but I have a funny feeling we'll be able to figure this out and get it right. Right, now we're trying to find a leopard in a car, Jamie's trying to find a leopard in a car, and Steve is, well, trying to find a leopard, but on foot.
Yeah, well, we're trying to find that line. The tracks, fortunately, have been driven over on the road that we've come along, and now the line tracks are just gone. We're almost at Buffelshoek Dam. Just having a listen. There's no more alarm calls, so we just thought we'd just stop and have a little listen. Just birds. Common scimitar, Cape turtle dove. No, it wasn't Jamie driving over the tracks. I think it was the vehicle that is up in front of us here that's been helping us. Unfortunately, if you drive over the tracks and the line's been walking on one side, you've got to really, really try, because once they come off the road here, very, very hard to find any tracks. Very, very hard. But we've got Rexon up ahead, seeing if the line has come this way. I mean, the chances are I probably had a drink at Quarry Pan, so there's no need for him to stop at Buffelshoek. But you know, animals will drink if they need to. They will sate themselves with moisture. Hopefully we get to find him, but we are also getting to the really northern reaches of the area, and if he crosses north, well, then he's gone. Okay, so Rexon has spotted something over there. Sorry about my audio. It seems to be a little bit out of sync, so if my words aren't following my lips, and I do apologize for that. Rexon spotted something over here. I don't know. Ah, there's some hippopotamuses in the water. Looks like Scuba's got a friend. Casey says it looks like one of those kung fu movies where the English is being dubbed over the Japanese or Chinese, or whatever it might have been. Looks like Scuba's got a friend, everybody. How exciting. There's two hippos there. I'm guessing the bigger of the two is Scuba. Very hard to say, though. Buffelshoek is looking really nice at the moment. But we don't know where that male lion might have gone. He might have taken this other road to the right, which would take him back up north. The Avoca males are quite skittish on foot, so if we did happen to bump into one, there's a good chance he would just move off. So if he did move away from us, he was lying up in the thickets, if he decided to vanish, well, that's what they do best. So let's go around this way, see if we can get another angle of Scuba. This is where I had the Unkuhuma Pride last year, right over here. And the one youngster actually caught a scrub hare, jumped into a buffalo thorn thicket, came out with a scrub hare. I was quite impressed. It's not the easiest of bushes to climb into. Looking much better. There's water in the dam. Very exciting. Michelle, I don't want to give any wrong answers. I don't know if it is a lady at all. It might be another boy. It might be a girl. At the moment, she's just got her head under the water. We've only got one hippo with its head up, which actually looks like a female with a pink around the eye. So it's possible that that is a lady there, and Scuba has got his head underwater as he gets his oxpeckers cleaning his back. He's thinking no one can see him. Wasn't there one here last year called Sarah, I believe? I don't know. Really difficult to tell the difference between hippos. They're big and they're round and they're pink. Male and female, easy enough, but to be able to tell. Snorkel Sarah was here with Scuba, and I think that is her, but I really couldn't tell you. It's definitely a female. Female hippos have got more makeup around the eye, so the eye is pink, whereas the males are much darker, especially when they're older. When they're younger, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. Impossible when they're younger. Maybe there is a way. But for now, the hippo under the water is definitely holding its breath, and it's going to have the longest breath holding for a mammal very soon. We might just get some nostrils in a moment. So bearing in mind, folks, when you come down to a watering hole like this, there's lots of water. The hippos are able to cover their bodies, so they're in the comfort zone. They're quite comfortable. I would never go too close to the edge of a pan or a dam, because you could always cause that animal to give you a little bit, or to cause a bit of discomfort. Not so long ago when there was hardly any water here, Scuba was definitely getting a little bit irritated with cars or with people if you got too close. And so it's best to just let them do their natural thing, even if it is pretty unexciting as they sit there basically just being a hippo. There's no point in trying to invoke a reaction from an animal just so that you can get some nice photography. If the animal does something and you surprise it and it happens to do something, well, that's a different story, but we don't purposefully try and go out and instigate and cause trouble and make animals open their mouths and run towards you. That's not part and parcel of what we do. The objective of bushwalks, the objective of being out in nature, is to observe nature in its natural state without really causing any trouble. That is the idea, and that's how we train. When we get assessed on trails guide walks, the objective is to basically see animals and extract out of those sightings without the animals even knowing that we're there. Well, we're going to move around, see if we can find any tracks of this male. He might be here somewhere. And let's go to Jamie as she continues her leopard search.
We are almost now. Can't do it. I was trying to. I can't quite work out how to fake lip sync being out of sync. It doesn't work. It's very difficult to do. But what's great was I was thinking about Kirsty on the end of a 10-second delay back in Johannesburg, trying to figure out what was going on. I know, but you gotta, oh, I see, so you gotta talk and then go like this. No, I can't do it. I was trying to catch Kirsty out, but it definitely wasn't gonna work. Apparently, Steve looks as though he's in an old redubbed martial arts movie. So, while we try and sort that out, it's very meta. I mean, it's very artistic. We're going for a certain look here. While we try to sort that out, guess where I am? I'm back at Treehouse. I'm done now. This is the last time I'm doing this loop. I've had enough. This leopard hasn't popped out. It's somewhere in this incredibly thick bush. I'm going to go look for Daryl. Done with leopards for the day. I'm going to go look for Daryl for the end of the sunrise safari. Go give him a talking to about fences. We, of course, have absolutely no proof that it was Daryl. Just so you know. We're just all convinced that it was Daryl. And to be honest, it probably was. We planted all those nice trees for him. Jonathan would like to know what animal would surprise me most if it were to appear in Djuma right now. Polar bear, probably. I think I would be quite surprised if there were a polar bear, especially at Treehouse Dam. It's not a very nice waterhole. Polar bear, I'd be a bit surprised if I saw a tiger. Tyrannosaurus, I'd also be quite surprised. I'm sorry, Jonathan, you probably hate me because that's not what you meant at all. Platypus, I'd be very surprised if there were a platypus. The Egyptian geese would be even more surprised if they were a platypus. That's all I have to show you, I'm sorry. A unicorn would absolutely be a game changer from Emma. That would be a game changer. I used that joke earlier this week and it was so funny. I wish I could remember what I said. I said it to Steph. They said something about... I don't remember. It's gone now. It was a spur of the moment genius from my side. What animal would surprise me the most to see right now? Honestly, probably a pangolin or an aardvark or one of the nocturnal creatures, if I'm being more realistic here. I mean, as much fun as it is to imagine us doing Jurassic Park live. Linda, you said an aardvark. Yes, I would be very surprised. Not least because I actually have some sort of aardvark. I don't know what it is. Curse. There's something about me that aardvarks don't like. I've spent 10 years of my life on and off living in the bush, and I have not seen an aardvark. I've plenty of times driven right past them, but I've never seen one. So I would be very surprised to see an aardvark. How could I not? Kirst says I must not want to see one and then I'll see one. But how can I not want to? I suppose some people have that sort of mental discipline, but I just don't. There's no way on earth I could convince myself that I don't want to see an aardvark. I mean, they're really lame, they're horrible animals. Gosh, who wants to see an aardvark? That's boring. Aardvarks are lame. They're dull. I can't do it. I just can't be convincing in my own mind. Egyptian geese are not really a surprise sighting. What else would I be surprised to see? Brown hyena? Possible. I mean, we're going with the plausible now. I'd be quite surprised to see a brown hyena. I'd be quite surprised to see an ostrich. We don't often see them on Njuma. They do occur, but we don't often see them. I would be quite surprised to see... I'm stuck on the thought of Jurassic Park live now. I imagine that if it were possible, we'd already be on it. It'd be quite fun. Although, if the movies have taught us anything, it's that it goes horribly wrong. But you know what? Even if it did go horribly wrong, it would only increase our viewership enormously. It's the nature of the internet is such that if we were to be eaten, or one of the guides were to be eaten, or perhaps the cameraman, we would have another couple of million subscribers by the end of that hour. Not something we really want to happen. Should we move on from these Egyptian geese? They are incredibly dull. Like aardvark, pretty much. Emma said we would definitely do an unscheduled broadcast. We absolutely would. Oh, there is a tiny terrapin here. I don't even think I can put Craig where he can see it. It's minute. I don't know if this angle's a bit awkward. Can you see it there, Craig? Oh, there it goes. It's a little weeny terrapin. It's about the size of my palm. Cute. Cute. Run, little terrapin, run. Or flop. Flop, little terrapin, flop. Don't know what, they don't really run. They move awkwardly. I give up on leopards. I'm gonna go look for an elephant. Surely I can find an elephant. It's a bit bigger. Although I think Daryl's probably hiding in shame. Not that I've ever known Daryl to be ashamed. What was that? I have failed. I have clearly failed in searching for the leopards. Let's find out if Tristan can succeed where I have failed. He might be with me for a few extra seconds.
Don't worry, Jamie. We have both not exactly done very well this morning, but I'm hoping we're about to rectify that situation. Sounds like I can't hear nicely on the radio, whether it's the dogs or Sibui is coming towards Chitwa boundary again. So we're heading in that direction to try and see if we can find whoever it is. If it's Sibui, it's going to be really nice because as much as I know who she is and I've seen lots and lots of photos of her, I've never actually seen her in real life, and neither has Seb. So it'll be a first leopard for the two of us, which is, or first time view of a leopard for the two of us, of that leopard, should I say. Of course, both of us have seen a fair number of leopards in our time, but it'll be really nice just to have another kind of leopard to know and to start to kind of watch and actually have laid eyes on. So it'll be good if we can. Of course, we've had her on this on the show before. I think Taylor's had her, and think potentially Brent. I might be wrong with that one, but I know definitely Taylor. And so we have had her on drives before, but a lot of you probably wouldn't have seen her. So it'll be really nice if it is her, and if it's with her cub, even better, because I don't think the cub has been on a live drive yet, as far as I know. I think it was just her. So if the two of them are together, that's going to be quite wonderful, and hopefully that will be the case. It'll be a nice kind of cherry on top of a fairly good morning. It's been a funny morning because it's not been like chaotic and, you know, amazing sightings, but there's actually been a lot more than we kind of feel like we've had. I suppose it's because everything's been quite brief and kind of crossing off into other areas. You know, like Jamie with the lions was a brief sighting, us with the dogs and the Ellies was brief. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it goes. Sorry, Seb, it's really bumpy. Come on, Jigger, you can do it. There we go. We made it. We didn't fall out the car, which is always a struggle and a win if you don't. So, Karen, you say that I must apply an extra amount of force towards the accelerator pedal in order to propel us faster towards the cut line. Well, the reason why I'm not going too fast is because they're not quite at the cut line yet. So I'm trying to time this perfectly, that as we get around there and pull in, so we'll see it coming. That's the kind of plan here. At least there's people that are with those animals. Oh, hello, Steenbok. Also because I don't want to drive over a Steenbok when driving too fast down the road. And in Jigger, driving fast is asking for trouble. You can get yourself dead if you drive Jigger too fast. It goes all over the place. It's a funny car. Jack, you say with Tristan driving, Seb needs to hold on because no one is surviving.
That's not true.
I feel like I'm quite nice to the cam-ups. I'm generally fairly decent in the way that I drive. From what I understand, and if I speak to the Askaris in Kenya, Taylor was apparently the worst in Kenya. And James apparently is terrible here on Juma. Seb says his bottom is constantly sore when James is around. Just hold on, Seb. There are some impalas that were looking very, very kind of intently. They've turned now to watch us. So Kirst is saying James is a bad driver. There we go. So James Hendry is not the one that you want to be on the back of the car with. And if you are on the back of the car with Brent following wild dogs, also not a very good place you want to be. I'm very gentle on the cam-ups, and it's generally because that's fine. It's not doing much, Seb, don't worry. I just heard a squirrel alarm call, and they were kind of looking, and so I was thinking maybe there's something. But yes, I feel like I'm very gentle on the cam-ups. Normally it's because we're following slower animals, I suppose. Craig on Wendy agrees James is the worst. It's so nice because he's not on live this morning to actually defend himself, so we can just say he's the worst and he's got no way to come back from that. Jamie?
Jamie is the most gentle.
Jamie is the most gentle. Seb was saying to me that Jamie does a nice 2 km/h game drive is what he calls it. So she likes to go nice and slow and relaxed and steady. Yeah, I can believe that. Jamie is the most level-headed of all of us anyway. So I believe Pat is quite quick as well. Seb, have you been with Pat much? He's okay, huh? Alright, so Pat is apparently...
Better than Lauren.
So Lauren is worse apparently. Oh goodness. Yes, there we go. Lauren is quite quick as well. So Seb, what is your... So Jamie number 1 in terms of gentleness.
Yeah.
Who's number 2?
Might be you.
Might be me.
Yeah.
Sure, that's amazing. And I'm all the way up there.
Or Sydney.
Sydney also quite gentle. Okay. So Sydney or myself at 2 and 3. Number 4, you're going with... What about David Yitu?
Oh. Don't really remember.
Doesn't really remember, Seb says. But he wasn't too bad, I would imagine. No, okay, so let's put Dave at 4. Then Pat at 5.
Lauren 6.
Lauren 6. James 143. Yes, I agree as well.
Oh, we forgot Steve, hold on.
Steve, where's Steve in all of this?
Steve, where would be Steve?
Steve, I feel like he takes it slow too. Maybe Steve... Exactly, there's even blind people and then James at the bottom of it. But I actually...
Would be around you and Sydney.
Steve's with me and Sydney, so we're 2, 3 and 4, the three of us, and kind of rotate depending on the day, I would imagine. But I have a really funny story about blind people, talking about James's bad driving and blind people driving better than James. When I was in university and when I was kind of a younger fella, my dad used to often say, well, my parents used to tell me how I was not allowed ever to consume apple juice and drive, which is a good thing. Like, I mean, I have no problem with it, and I really am quite strict with it these days. But at that time, when you're a youthful teenager, you think that our parents are just being full of nonsense. And I used to kind of begrudgingly listen to them for the most part. And then I found out a story about how once my dad, and this is way back in the day before kind of drinking and driving really became a big thing here in South Africa, and he and his friends decided that they were going to go out on the town, and they had one too many apple juices, as friends do, and they managed to convince a guy that was completely blind to drive them home because they thought they were in no state to be able to drive. So they drove the guy. Basically how it worked is the guy had a driver's license, had gone blind, knew how to drive, but he just needed to give directions. And so these guys thought it would be very funny to just essentially direct a blind person to, oh, there's a Wahlberg's eagle, to drive them home. And they said that they were basically going to, they made the guy go the wrong way around traffic circles. It was in the middle of the night in a very small part of South Africa. It was not in a major city, before anyone gets too kind of crazy, but yes, very naughty. And then that was the moment where I realized they have no leg to stand on to tell me not to drive when that kind of behavior is being displayed. So yes, James Henry apparently is even worse than the guy that drove a whole bunch of inebriated students the wrong way around traffic circles, and that's where kind of James Henry apparently is, according to the rest of the crew, which is quite funny. Anyway, we are at the cut line now. This is roughly where she should, theoretically, if it's Sibui, she should be coming this side towards here. I'll have to get on the radio just now and just have a little chat with the guys and ask them. They might have lost her though, and that's why they kind of just said she was mobile this way, because I haven't really heard much more since then. But her tracks were absolutely everywhere here, going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so we're just going to have to kind of keep an eye out and see. Maybe she comes through. It'll be a good finish to our morning. There's a little pan here that's often used as a watering point for leopards, so we'll just check this. But while we do this, let's send you back across to the best driver in the team, Jamie Patterson.
I've retained my title, despite all things getting stuck and all sorts of other things. I occasionally drive into stumps. I remember once vividly with poor VM. I was, you know, when you first go live, when you first do these live safaris, and I think Trist and Steve can attest to this, you've got a lot going on. You've got this voice in your ear you don't know very well, and of course we now know our directors very well, but at the time, in the beginning, I didn't know it very well. And you've got the game drive comms and you're trying to find an animal. Anyway, point is, you're quite distracted. And I parked up next to that jackalberry on Gowrie cut line, and then completely forgot that there was a giant dead tree behind me, and reversed at high speed. I can't remember why I was reversing at high speed, and went straight into it. And the whole tree branch just sort of crumbled because it was all termite ridden, and fell all over VM. And I looked back at him and he was just covered in sticks and termite dirt and all sorts of things. The look he gave me was priceless. I wish I could have captured it on photo, but at that point I was too scared to take a photo of him. Probably fair enough. I also once in the Mara was so exhausted after a full day of looking for something that just before the afternoon safari, I said to Jahawi, let's park under this tree and have a nap here, and then we can carry on with the safari when it's time. So we stopped in the shade of the tree, and then when I woke up, I completely forgot that I'd parked in the shade of the tree and reversed that vehicle back very hard and quite quickly into said tree. Brent, on my interview, crashed the Quantum that we hired back in the day when we were still moving between Maniti and Djuma every day. He drove it into the gate at Inga's. He also drove Chiku's, which I don't think he ever told anyone. Chiku, of course, was our tech vehicle, but our starter car, our Canary, in the Masai Mara. He drove that into a branch and smashed the back window. It's the reason why it had plastic over it for about a year. Poor James. I'm not going to say anything further. I think Tristan's done that to death. I'm not going to say anything further about Tristan's driving skill. Not Tristan's. Tristan's driving's fine. What was funny is that when when Kirsty fed through what Tristan was saying about James being there was general agreement from all cameramen. I'm just gentle because I don't see the point in going anywhere very quickly, unless it's dogs or there's an established sighting. Especially during summer. You miss things. And you might as well go slowly. Not necessary for us to cover enormous amounts of ground. Why can't I turn this radio down? So James Richard, in the nicest, most James Richard way possible, has basically said that Steph's a giant slowpoke. He said, he didn't word it like that. He said that surely Steph must be the most gentle out of all of us, because he's seen him go after wild dogs, and let's just say he was the opposite of Brent. I think that's hilarious. It's also because Steph is largely responsible for repairs of the vehicles. As our ops managers, obviously we do what we can, but ultimately if there's massive damage, chances are it's going to fall on Steph's shoulders. So I think that might explain the gentle nature of Steph's driving. There is also the fact that, truth be told, Steph really, really doesn't want to be in a game drive vehicle. Oh, he'll do it, but he wants to be on foot. He doesn't want to be in a game drive vehicle. And you know what? On the subject of Steph, I'm going to do something I should have done a very long time ago. Yes, he does need a Flintstone vehicle. I'm probably going to upset a lot of people, but it's been 3 years and I feel like I need to tell you this. Steph doesn't have a Twitter account. No one knows who Sifler is, but one day when Sifler25 or whoever it is that keeps getting tagged as Steph and Winterboer logs into their Twitter account, they are going to be very, very surprised by the fan base that they have acquired based on somebody else. Because Steph doesn't have a Twitter account. And I should have told, I've always meant to tell you, I've always forgotten. So here we go. Truth be told, Steph doesn't have a Twitter account. You've been, for the last 3 years, tagging somebody else. We don't know who he is. Fortunately, he doesn't seem to check his Twitter account very often. I think it's Sifler. Might be Sniffler. Sifler? Steph only got a smartphone because he finally realized he had to. So no, he doesn't have a Twitter account. If you ask Steph what Snapchat was, he would look at you blankly and carry on with whatever he was talking about beforehand. He doesn't... Oh dear. I can't believe it's taken me so long to get that off my chest. Oh, really, it always meant to let you know. It just didn't happen. I just wish, I hope, that one day, Sifler20, whatever it is, bite it in my mouth. I guess I deserved that. That was karma. to also get spiderweb there, Craig. You missed it. I got the brunt of it. I really hope that one day Sifler 20 whatever logs in and takes a look at all these messages and sends out a tweet to thank you all. Okay, I'm cruising around looking for our beloved Daryl. Steve is smelling the scent of breakfast and is slowly but surely marching the long road home.
Well, Jamie, let us know where Daryl is. I heard from Aubrey that he was on his way to Buffelshoek, so we've decided to do a big loop around. We are heading back towards camp. No signs of that male lion anyway. The tracks, we lost them around the pan, or around Buffelshoek itself, and most likely went north. But you win some, you lose some. We're just running out of a little bit of time to be following up any further, so we've done a big loop and we're on our way back, and hopefully we don't bump into the big bell-eared Daryl, because he gave Tristan a bit of a rev yesterday morning. Would have been a nice birthday present for Sebastian this morning. In fact, he was on foot with Tristan yesterday. Daryl just likes to make his presence known. Beautiful morning. It's a nice overcast conditions. Has really cooled it down a little bit. It's not going to be as hot as I initially thought it would be, but still build up a bit of a sweat. Nice to be out with you this morning, Jean-Andre. Thanks for a lovely walk. What a wonderful topic about the driving. James being the best driver, shame. So on we go. We're going to keep going. A few grasses to talk about. Sorry, I double clicked because I didn't quite get it. Beautiful little oh, there goes the specs hinged tortoise. Let's go catch it. Hello, Anna Marie. Happy birthday to you. We do get wild asparagus here. We just had a tortoise. Just had a drink. It's now going to pop into the vegetation over here. I'll see if I can find you some wild asparagus. I did step in some earlier. It's quite a spiny little plant. I'm not bleeding though, thankfully. You see the tortoise, Andre? Had a little bit of a drink. There's the specs-hinged tortoise. It's not Gregory, but Gregory is the same species. Gregory looks... It's Gregory's cousin indeed. Gregory is a little bit smoother of shell. I don't really know why. I think she's a bit older, or a bit more loved, in fact. Spent a lot of time around our camp. And was coming in yesterday trying to bite everybody's toes. You've got to be careful. She sneaks in and apparently got a little bit of a bite on her. I haven't yet experienced a bite from Gregory yet, thankfully. There we go. Into the thickets it goes. A little four-wheel drive machine. They take it nice and slow, just like Jamie driving the vehicle. Very delicate, very slow, with purpose in one direction. No rush to get anywhere. Surprisingly, that there was no mention of Scott in the driving. I've heard he, especially when he's following lions, that he doesn't really see where he's going. There's a lion there, driving. Scott didn't come up. I wonder if anyone's got any comments about Scott's driving. And Kirst, who was naming everybody and their driving? I'm trying to figure out who is the person who is judging all of these driving people. I've been told sometimes I'm a little bit bumpy on the road. Try and take it nice. So Tristan and Jamie. I noticed how Tristan didn't mention himself at all in his discussions. Maybe we should jump back to the time when Tristan hit a log and fell out the car. Remember that? I do. Okay, so both cameramen have said Tristan big driver. I wonder if Fergus has got the same story to tell. Because Fergus nearly fell out of the car with Tristan that one day. That day he was mocking Taylor about her falling in the mud. And then he decided to fall out of the car as well. He gets a bit upset when we talk about that, but because lots of people view that video, but I once watched him view it twice in a row. So he quite likes it too, I think. But anyway, we're going to continue on. We've got a little way to go till we get home. Hopefully we won't be falling out of any cars, but let's go to the man himself.
Steve, you will learn your lesson very quickly that karma is something you don't want to try and taunt and making fun of me falling out of vehicles is not going to serve you very well. Trust me, I know. It's why I fell out of a vehicle. Anyway, unfortunately for us, no sign of Sabui. She was unfortunately left, kind of walking towards the cut line, but there's no tracks crossing the cut line, so I don't think she's quite gotten to the Chitwa area just yet. So I think we're going to try and come back here this afternoon and try again. I'm pretty sure if we get it right this afternoon, we'll be able to find them and try and actually see if we can see her. Anyway, it is that time, unfortunately, though, where we're going to have to say goodbye to all of you for the morning. I hope that you've enjoyed the ride this morning. It's been lots of interesting little things. I mean, it's, like I say, all been brief, but at least quite a little kind of vast spectrum of topics that have been discussed in Animal Scene. So from the entire team, Jamie, Steve, myself, all Cam-Ups and Kirsty, I wish you all a very happy day, and we'll see you later this afternoon on the Sunset Safari.